water, earth, fire, air. The four nations lived in harmony, then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. With Avatar Roku gone and the new Avatar missing, those who oppose the tyrannical rule of Fire Lord Sozin and his son Azulon have banded together to form a resistance and fight back, to slow the surging flames of war that will overwhelm everyone. Four young rebels, though inexperienced and with much still to learn, may just be the ones who can protect the world. Da 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 da! Cool music! It's time for the second part of High Rollers D&D Presents Avatar Legends. Welcome, everybody. I am your games master, Mark Sherlock Humes, and I will be your guide and the player's guide in our second our endeavor into Avatar Legends, a brand new tabletop role-playing game by Magpie Games. Welcome, everyone. Here are the players. Ba-ba-ba-ba! We got the whole squad here, including a guest from on far, well, like in a different location. We have Rhiannon as
Hello.
Dower. We have Tom as Baya. We have Katie as Kahina. I can never pronounce it. Kahina. We have Trot as Reng and Kim as Mei Lee. Welcome, dear friends. What an exciting week. It's been a week since we did our previous one. When we last played, we were there to announce the Kickstarter of Avatar Legends, the role-playing game. It's now out. The Kickstarter is available, and boy, howdy, is it out. So this is all brought to you by Magpie Games for Avatar Legends, the Last Airbender and Legend of Korra role-playing game, the officially licensed tabletop role-playing game based on the world of Avatar, where players get to create their own elemental bender, weapon specialist, or technologist in any of the 5 eras, with an easy-to-access custom system created by award-winning designers to help you tell stories in the Avatar-verse, even for players who aren't familiar with RPGs. And look at this, the Kickstarter is live right now. You can use our tracking link, which will be in chat and in the video description, to go and back the project if you haven't already. It's already done over $2.1 million. Now
2.5.
2.5 million.
Well done, guys.
Isn't that in like 2 days? Yeah.
It's in 2 days. So, Kim,
some records,
you have asked me about this because indeed it does, Katie, break several records. First of all, they actually broke the record for the most funds raised for an RPG product on day one. The previous record was something like 600K. They smashed it by over $1 million.
Wow.
Then it is now the highest funded RPG product on Kickstarter. It is huge, and amazing. Congratulations,
you did
Magpie Games.
Woo!
Yeah.
And also just thank you very much, because we are one of the few groups who get to do a sponsored stream and get to show the game off to you. So we are very honored that you wanted to work with us, and we're very, very grateful. And also, huge congratulations on this amazing success with Avatar Legends, which, like I said, you can grab the quick start if you back it, or if you want to just download the quick start rules to check it out, you can do that right now. So hello and welcome, and especially if you're a new viewer, welcome to this little lovely stream that we're going to be doing today. A couple of things before we get started that I just wanted to highlight from the previous episode. The first one being that the quick start rules are being tweaked and updated as we go. So there's actually going to be some minor changes to how combat exchanges work, which we're going to see some of today. So there have been a couple of changes since last week to this week. We're going to fold those changes in. The other thing I wanted to mention was a key thing in Avatar Legends is very different to Dungeons and Dragons, which is what we normally play here on High Rollers. And it's mainly one of the key things that I think some folks were kind of struggling to get their heads around in the audience last week, is the idea of success and failure in Avatar Legends. So in Avatar, there are basically 3 results you can get when you roll the dice. Those 3 results are the player doesn't get what they wanted and something exciting or unexpected happens. So you miss the roll, you fail on the roll, you don't get what you want, and something unusual or unexpected happens. The second result is the players get what they want, but there is a cost or some sort of unforeseen circumstance or consequences in some way. This is still a success, right? So the player gets what they want. They get the thing that they were trying to do, but there is some little interesting twist or element to it. This is still a success. And then the third result is the players get what they want and they get a little bit more as well. It's like a critical success. And I just wanted to make that clear because I don't want people to feel like, oh, it's really hard to get a success in this game. It's not. You actually, on 2d6, you average a 7, which is a success with a cost or with an additional kind of consequence. So you do get to succeed a lot in the game. We just have bad luck in high rollers. That's another thing to point out.
Yeah.
And then lastly is just we are still learning the system, especially me. This is my first time running a Powered by the Apocalypse game and a game that uses this kind of system. So how we play might not be a perfect representation of the best way to do it, but we're having fun, and that's the most important thing. So I just wanted to, just put those those things in the world, and that's it.
Very good.
Me with those
Amazing.
dice facts.
Amazing.
Tom, what's the average number on 2d6?
Oh, that's a 7. That's a 7. I know that from you. You told me that. Now I know.
7 for
There you
you.
go. Yeah. For the most human people, it's a 7. For high rollers, the average on 2d6 is 4, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did
I would've said
pretty
2.
bad last episode.
And that's the other thing is in this kind of game, I never roll the dice. I never have to roll a dice in this game. It's all as a result of your dice rolls. So, it's I can't nothing I can do on this one. Can't blame it on me.
8. Hell yeah.
Easy. So I've got a little.
Just do that.
I have a little recap on what happened in our previous episode of our little two-parter, our little special Avatar two-parter. I was going to say, before I do that, are there any questions or things people want to talk about? But Chris Trott's already cut to me. Oh, we're back.
The magic. The magic of live streaming. We're back.
We're back. Any questions or any thoughts from last time before we jump into play?
No.
That sounds good.
No.
In that case, I will do a little recap then. Last time on Avatar Legends, our young rebels have learned of a terrible Fire Nation plot led by Admiral Carr to force a nearby volcano to erupt, not only destroying Earth Nation villages and resistance hideouts in the mountains, but also empowering the local firebenders to aid in their domination of the region. After destroying several Fire Nation ships in the docks at Merchant's Pier, the party had to make plans to escape the town and journey to Mount Makapuku to stop Admiral Carr. Sadly, escape would not be easy with Fire Nation and a local gang of pirates keen to capture them. After a near disastrous attempt to escape, the party made friends with a local cabbage merchant who helped them sneak out of the main gate and on towards Harbour Town, a local fishing village en route to the mountains. On arrival, the party learnt about the famous Festival of the Flopping Fish, and the youngsters took a few moments to enjoy the festival and dispel some of their fatigue and worries. But as the festival came to an end for the day, a young Earth Nation boy was handed over to the Fire Nation by the local mayor, and the boy is fated to be taken to a nearby stronghold. Some members of the party rush off to try and save the boy, but unknown to all of them, a force of Fire Nation troops from Merchant's Pier is in hot pursuit. Somebody had a question.
Did we?
No.
I said sorry for the Flopping Fish Festival.
Oh,
That was all me.
I thought it was like, I'm going to ask a question. So I just carried on. I was like, nope, you can wait.
Just an apology.
Apology. Before we jump into full action, that's the recap on everything that went down last week. A couple of little details, obviously, we can go over. But before we jump into it, I think it's worth just having everybody go around, reintroduce your character, describe them, tell us who they are, tell us their name, what their whole thing is, their deal is, as well as what playbook from the quick start rules you guys are playing as. And yeah, just tell us a little bit about them. Starting with Kim, tell us about Mei Lee.
Hello there. I am playing Mei Li, who is a firebending performer in the Golden Chrysanthemum Opera Troupe. So if you imagine, this is kind of inspired by Chinese opera, so very much like martial arts inspired performances. She is very much a thespian. She lives to perform, but also has joined this group because she disagrees with what is happening in the world at the moment with the state of war that we're in. She is dressed in kind of traditional, like a traditional Chinese opera outfit. Although I feel like when we're traveling around, she's kind of taken the more intricate parts of the outfit off. So it's kind of like a red robe with blue trim. She has this very intricate opera headdress, which is the guan headdress. But again, I think she'd only really wear that when she's trying to be a distraction or perform, because it's not very stealthy. And in those moments as well, she has that kind of white makeup with the very exaggerated red pink eyeshadow, kind of similar to Kyoshi Warriors. And yeah, that is Mei Li.
And Mei Li is, what playbook are you playing as for Mei Li?
I am playing as the Bold.
The Bold.
Yes.
And the Bold is,
yes,
yeah, as it sounds. And what are your two balances? So every character in Avatar has a balance track with two principles on either end. And part of the game is kind of shifting and moving between those two balances. And it's one thing I want to try and do a bit more of, because it's one of the unique things from the game. So yeah, what are Mei Li's balance tracks?
So as you can see there, it is loyalty and confidence, and I kind of interpret that as, especially being a performer, she's a little bit arrogant, like a little bit overconfident, but also, you know, she has links with Dawa, so Dawa, I won't say too much, but is also part of the opera troupe, and yeah, there's some loyalty, this is looking after Dawa there as well. Okay. So those are the two kind of balances and how I'm sort of interpreting them in playing Mei Li.
All right, shall we go to Dawa and Rhiannon then instead? I think that makes sense.
Alrighty. Hello.
Tell us about Dawa.
Dawa. So she is an airbender from the Eastern Air Temples. She has the traditional sort of monk style orange and yellow robes. She has like icy white eyes, and her normally quite cropped, short, almost bald haircut is kind of grown out into like this shaggy mullet, which almost sort of covers her airbending tattoos, because it's been a while since she's kept up with it. She's been on the road a little while. She's marching very determinedly towards where the Fire Nation have taken this earthbending lad. She's very determined to help him out at the moment. And I am playing. Did I say I'm playing? I'm playing the Idealist from the handbook, and my two balances are forgiveness and action. So yeah, her action currently being a +2, -2. She's veering on the side of action. She's moving forward, not really thinking about the consequences of her actions at the moment.
Yeah, and it's important to note that because the Idealist, you know, the Idealist's whole thing is that they have had horrible things in the past, especially with Dao's case being, her people being sort of like attacked and basically wiped out. But the Idealist is always kind of pushing in for what's right and what's good, but it's this this conflict between taking action and seeking to repair damage done, and forgiveness as well to those that have wronged you as well. So that's like a whole thing. And you are currently marching over there with Bea, our Kyoshi warrior. Tom Hazel, tell us about Bea.
Bea is, a Kyoshi warrior, so a female character. And it was very easy in my playbook to put your character. What do they look like? Kyoshi warrior. Where'd they come from? Kyoshi Island. How do they fight? Kyoshi warrior.
Tom picked easy mode in character creation.
I picked easy mode, yeah. But my playbook is the Icon, which is basically, living up to the role of a Kyoshi warrior. Sorry if you can hear a lot of rain, by the way. Living up to the role of a Kyoshi warrior, or veering towards freedom and living their own life. At the moment, my balance is shifted towards role, so I'm being more Kyoshi warrior than free at the moment, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
And also, I have a deeper connection with Reng, Trot's character, as my protector, my bodyguard. And that's a good segue.
Not that you need
Take it away.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't need one. So I also don't have any bending ability. I use weapons to fight.
Yeah. Cool. Trot, tell us about Reng.
Likewise, I only have weapons as my specialization. I am using the Guardian playbook, and my character's name is Reng. As mentioned, I am best buds with Bayer from the Kyoshi Island. But I'm not a Kyoshi warrior myself. I'm basically a guy that lives in a village around Kyoshi, and I've been military trained, and we've kind of become friends since childhood. But yeah, he is relatively simply clothed, wearing the kind of dark green hues that Kyoshi also wears, but cut off sleeves. He looks like he can hold his own, but he's a bit more skinnier, a bit more athletic looking than, you know, the adults. Of course, he's still growing up. He's got shaved side heads, and he's got a tied up bit of hair at the back as well. And he always looks a little bit suspicious and cautious, because those are literally 2 checkboxes you can put for demeanors on your playbook as a little guide.
Suspicious of others, not like you are suspicious. You are suspicious of
I'm
others.
suspicious of others, yeah. I'm paranoid. And my 2 balance types are from self-reliance, so that's self-explanatory, to trust and trusting others, which is I'm currently leaning towards trust right now because of the first part of this episode swayed me in that direction.
Yeah, and it's also the Guardian's whole thing, right, is you have this ward, which currently is Bayer, and the whole thing is you know, you're protecting that person, but the conflict with the Guardian, self-reliance, is also about you doing things for yourself, not always doing things for Bayer, not always thinking about bias. You know, pushing yourself towards self-reliance is also about, you know, taking your own actions and doing things that you want to do.
Absolutely.
So that kind of plays into it a little bit. And we've got I think we've got a couple of moves when we do get started as well, that people need to do. But before then, so Reng is currently, you know, whilst Dawa and Bayer run forward, Meili, Reng, and our final character to introduce are all kind of watching as these 2 kind of run off towards where this Earthbender boy has been taken. Earth Nation boy, sorry. Kahina. Katie, tell us about Kahina. I'm going to get that name right.
That is right. Kahina is...
Yep, Kahina. I've been saying it the whole time.
the whole time. She is a waterbender from the Northern Water Tribe, or a small village near the Northern Water Tribe, at least. She has got white blonde, sort of twin fishtail braids that go all the way from the top of her head down to her waist. She is wearing like a sleeveless long tunic and some like baggier style pants for like movement and stuff, and some dark grey boots. And she's got grey blue eyes. She is traveling with them as her adversary. So I'm playing as the Hammer in the playbooks, and as part of being the Hammer, I have an adversary. So my adversary is the Onyx Juggernaut, who is part of the Fire Nation forces and who attacked my Water Tribe village. So I am traveling to seek a bit of vengeance and take them out of power, really. And so that's why I am with the group. And my 2 balances are care and force on the playbook.
Perfect. And yeah, the Onyx Juggernaut, by the way, is an Earthbender mercenary. So it's not even another Fire Nation person. This is somebody who's turned against their own people. And the Hammer's adversary can change. It doesn't have to stay the same person. But it's kind of a whole thing of like, you know, when things happen, you can change this stuff as the game goes. Cool. Well, that's all of the characters. Now I think Trot, does anybody else have anything they have to do at the start of a session? Because I know that the Guardian does have a little thing they need to do. Everyone's now desperately looking at character sheets.
It would usually be underneath the intro description to your character on your playbook.
Yes, it's your like core ability normally, or it's in one of your personal moves. But I think, Trot, let's just go ahead with yours.
I'll kick off with mine while everyone else reads through theirs. So I've got the Protector's Burden, and currently Dower is my ward, but at the start of every session, we need to test that and make sure that I'm still, you know, guarding the right person, or if that person does no longer need me.
Or needs you. Yeah, exactly.
So here we go.
Okay.
Right. So before you roll, before at the beginning of each session, yeah, you have to answer some questions, and you get a +1 to the roll for each answer of yes.
Right.
Do
Okay,
I believe my ward listens to me more often than not? Now, based on last session, Thomas Bayer, do you think that is holding true? Are you listening to me?
No, because a lot of what you were saying was we should leave, we should not do this, this is bad, I'm scared, hold me. And I was saying, no, we're not doing that.
So that's a +1.
No, it's not a +1. It's a +1 for each yes.
For each yes, sorry.
+1.
I get this wrong every time. All right, and the next question. Have you recently protected them or helped them with a problem? And I do believe we have somewhat helped each other, at least in the initial bit with the cart, the cabbage man. I kind of took it upon
the bit where you jumped into the back of the cart and almost left without us. That bit.
I was going to say, my memory of that was that Reng jumped in the cart and left Bayer to kind of fend for himself.
I was sitting in the cart with you. I didn't see much of a...
Yeah, you weren't really helping.
And when it came to
you didn't help her on or anything. Like, yeah, you didn't help
the festival, I just kind of went off and bought a load of merch instead of useful stuff.
Yeah, you bought like hats and...
Yeah. All right, that's 2 no's.
Fish head.
2 no's. All right, well, let's put, 2 out of 3. We got another one left.
Is there an immediate threat to my ward that I'm aware of? And I think absolutely that's a yes. That we are. Someone is hunted.
Are you aware of it though? We're not aware that we're being hunted.
You are charging towards a barracks of Fire Nation soldiers.
I feel like there's a threat.
Let's go rescue that guy.
Let's go, gamers. To myself.
Yeah, you're the threat to yourself. Yeah.
Well, also, the Fire Nation soldiers who are currently, protecting the guy. Yeah, the prisoner. Yes, they are a threat. I would say this is a yes. I mean, but this is a group game. This is much more of a group game than what we're used to. Does everyone else agree? I think that's a yes. What does everyone else think?
Yeah,
if I'm barreling into a dangerous place, then in that case, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So
I feel like you are. That's a +1. So I'm adding +1 in total.
So it's just 2d6 +1.
That's a 4.
That's a 4. So it says here, on a miss, you're drifting apart on different paths. By the end of the session, you must choose one. Decide you're the only one who can keep them safe. Shift your balance twice towards self-reliance and keep them as your ward. Decide they can handle life without your protection. Shift your balance twice towards trust and switch your ward to a new person. So you have to do that by the end of the session. So you get to choose when you do that, because don't forget, when your balance track, you can actually use those 2 principles as a role in place of other roles. So you could decide, like, let's say Mei Li was in danger. You could decide, you know what? I'm going to shift my ward to Mei Li, and I'm going to take that +2 towards that, and I'm going to act to try and help them. You could choose to do that whenever you want to.
Either way, my balance is going to shift quite dramatically at the end of this.
2 points, is a big shift. So it's
only 4 points in either direction before it completely goes.
Also, it doesn't say shift it to another player. It says just to another person. I guess, does that mean you could be a ward of just an NPC?
It could be an NPC,
well?
yes. It absolutely can be an NPC. Yes.
It says you can switch to an NPC.
If the GM agrees.
If the GM agrees. I devote myself to the cabbage man.
I can't remember even. I don't think I wrote down his name. I gave him a name.
Cabbage man. It's Dulong. It's just Dulong.
Dulong. That was it.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah. The cabbage man.
Dugong.
I just completely forgot his name.
I didn't mention this last time because I didn't see it. I had some end of session stuff that I needed to do.
Oh, okay.
The icon.
Well, let's do that now, Tom Hazel.
So I guess this is the question of the last session. At the end of each session, answer these additional questions along with your standard growth questions. Did I generally uphold my responsibilities as a Kyoshi warrior? I mean, if anything, I got someone in danger rather than protected them from danger with Dugong. So
that's a Pokemon, Tom.
Maybe. You didn't take off your makeup in the end either, did you?
No, I didn't.
No,
I didn't. No.
You revoked that, yeah.
Yeah.
So if yes, I shift my balance towards roll. If no, I mark a condition and shift balance towards freedom.
Wow.
So, I mean...
And it's your choice.
Did I uphold my responsibilities? What does everyone else think? Did I Kyoshi it up?
Well, I would say that your final acts, you were encouraging Dawa. The last things that really happened were you were encouraging Dawa to come with you and rescue that Earth Kingdom boy. And I'd say that that's pretty Kyoshi Warrior, like going in and being like overwhelming force. Slim chance of success. What are we waiting for? You know, it was like you were willing to go in there. Yeah,
you did that.
Okay. Well, in my
You
responsibilities,
got too long in danger.
But I also have never run from a fight as a responsibility as well. I was going to fight the archer that was going to shoot me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
I
we
feel
got
like
away with
you-
that because of melee.
This seems like a yes. You upheld your values.
In that case, I shift balance towards roll by 1, which
Wow,
makes it
now
even ever closer to the very end. I'm now +2 on roll.
-2 on freedom, though. Interesting.
-2 on freedom.
If you're in one
and,
side of balance, the other one suffers.
And also, did I generally maintain my prohibitions? So, did I ever fall in love? No. Did I ever run from a fight? No. And did I ever intervene without being asked to? No. I shift my balance towards roll even more.
Oh my god.
And you get to clear a condition, but I don't think you have one. You do. You have foolish. You can
You've got
clear
foolish.
foolish as well.
Amazing. I'll get rid of foolish then.
So you are feeling the most Kyoshi that has ever Kyoshi'd.
I am so Kyosh right now, guys.
Now, is there
So-
something that
Go
happens
on.
when he goes off the track?
Yes, there is, Chris Trott. You're absolutely right. So there is a move, and it's I've put it on the Roll20 page under the balance moves. So there is a thing called losing your balance. If your balance shifts past the end of your track, you lose your balance. You obsess over that principle to a degree that's not healthy for you or anyone around you. Choose one of the following. You either have to give in or submit to your opposition, lose control of yourself in a destructive and harmful way, take an extreme action in line with that principle, then flee. Afterwards, when you've had some time to recover and recenter yourself, shift your center 1 step towards the principle you exceeded and clear your condition and fatigue, reset your balance to the new center. So your center is where you begin. It's where you like default to whenever you play. That is something to be aware of. Like I said, like the balance is this is something I want to point out to you guys. Sometimes in this game and in other games like it encourages you to not do heroic things. It's like Tom, at this point, Tom probably wants to like not live up to this heroic character that he built in, because otherwise he might go over his balance edge. So he might need to try and find a way to think of like, well, actually, you know, how would my character, you know, what would my character do that would hold back or things like that. So you've got to kind of, again, it's that whole idea of trying to keep that balance and sometimes acting against some of these things that you
I like that.
happens.
That influences the role play. You have to like
Yeah.
Yes, so this
encourages
is a
you.
game where the mechanics directly will encourage you to roleplay in certain ways, not just this is what my character would do, and just deciding what that would be. The
Of
mechanics
course,
actually
you know.
kind of give you reasons to act in a certain way.
They also give you consequence if you just decide, no, yeah, I'm going to go full on with this.
Exactly.
And there's a mechanic for it. That's cool.
Yeah. So the only thing I just wanted to quickly check was to see that if on a new session we reset the balance, but I don't think we do. So with that, I'm going to set the scene up, and then I'm going to hand it over to all of you. So in Harbour Town, this very simple Earth village, Earth Kingdom fishing village, we see all of you gathered around the kind of stone harbor that kind of is like a crescent moon in this small little bay, with this tiled village going up behind you into the hills. To the far end, leading out of a gate which continues to the west, going towards the mountains in the direction that you want to go. This young Earth Kingdom boy, tan skin, long dark hair kind of tied into a ponytail, wearing simple clothing, is being led away by Fire Nation soldiers. You guys have all been watching this after this proclamation was made by the mayor of the town. And we see Dawa and Baya kind of pointing at the Fire Nation soldiers, looking at this semi-fortified. It's maybe like once it was like an old grain house or something like that, or an old storehouse, and it's been converted into kind of a rudimentary barracks and prison. maybe a group of maybe 7 or 8 Fire Nation soldiers are taking this kid there, and you can see that there's a wagon outside. They're getting ready to leave. They're getting ready to take this kid somewhere else. Whilst Baya and Dawa are looking at that and kind of witnessing everything, Meili, Reng, and Kahina, you guys notice that the crowd, it's not like people are excited or happy about this. You get the sense that people are pretty bummed out, but they're kind of, going along with it. You see the mayor, the one who made this pronouncement, guiltily looks away from the Fire Nation dragging this kid off, and is trying to hustle everyone back to their homes. It's like, come now, everyone, back to work. Let us return to what we were doing. Let us put this behind us. And it's trying to kind of move everybody on. The fishing village, it's kind of sunset, I would probably say. So the sun is beginning to dip down, casting everything in kind of orange and yellow light as this goes by. You can see the Fire Nation troops beginning to light torches around the barracks as villagers kind of do the same thing around the village. You guys have been traveling. Some of you have got a little bit of fatigue, but otherwise, I will now hand it over to you guys. You tell me what you want to do.
I want to save a boy.
All right.
I would like to save one boy, please.
Well, you and Dawa, tell me how you're doing all of this. Like, what's the plan here? How are you going about this?
I believe last time Reng was also fully on board with this as well. I felt like this was a wrongdoing and that should be focused on.
If you want to just go along with it, absolutely.
I think so. But anyway, Baya.
Baya is making kung fu kind of gestures. Is your plan? I want to check this, Baya. You just want to jump into this squadron of 7 and just start fighting. You're just like, this is wrong. Out in public, I'm gonna start a fight.
No, that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. I am just ready to make whatever move Dawa intends to make as well. I think we're at the moment, because I not necessarily goaded Dawa into doing this. I called upon her balance, right, to make this.
Yeah, you kind of were like,
decision.
Hey, we should do something about this. You basically called her out. You called on her to live up to her principle.
Yeah.
So right now, I think we're both in the plan together, and anyone else that decides to follow, Reng is following as well. What are Meili and Kahina doing?
So Meili is up for freeing this boy, but is slightly dubious as to whether or not an all-out combat against the squadron is.
Let's set this up as a bit of a scene, right? So that there's a thing. So you guys as a group, maybe you see the Fire Nation going, and you can see Dawa and Baya and Reng are all keen to go, but you guys pull yourselves into a little alleyway, or under the cover of a noodle shop or something that hasn't fully opened yet. There's an overhang where maybe it's starting to rain or something like that, and we can hear the drips on the top of the canvas. And you guys pull yourself under that, and kind of in hushed voices, Baya, you're going to tell you and Dawa and Reng want to basically say we want to go and rescue this kid, right? So you've pulled yourselves under this minute. You've got a quiet moment where if you were to have a plan, or if you wanted to have a discussion about what to do, this is the time to do it.
I feel like we spoke our piece last time, so.
Well, we need that. Now's the plan making, I suppose. We need to get to them before they reach the settlement. So how do we, 5 individuals, take down 7 Fire Nation soldiers and get the boy out?
The same way we took down 5 Fire Nation ships, right? We just do the same thing again.
Fireworks.
Maybe less explosions this time. I think there was quite a lot of noise. We drew a lot of attention to ourselves. I think I definitely want to help the boy, but I want to help the boy without drawing attention of the fact that there's definitely more Fire Nation people here than just those 7 soldiers. We should probably have an element of surprise and stealth about this.
Did you see their
what's
faces?
quite surprising? Fireworks. And fire.
No. Did you not see what Kahina just said? No, flashy, no explosions. We can't draw attention. We need to do this correctly. And I can tell the locals here, they don't want to be under the rule of Fire Nation. They don't want this. Maybe this will be the fire without fire, Melee. It's the fire that maybe gets the villagers thinking that maybe that they shouldn't be under the thumb of the Fire Nation. Maybe we instigate something good. So we need to be a good face. Not a reckless face, a good face.
I'm tired
As
of doing
much
things
as-
correctly.
Oh.
Be quiet, but also be loud and cause an entire village to overthrow the people who are in control.
No, rescue the
how to
boy.
achieve both.
I think that's a good statement, right? Rescue the boy. Well, and not
Rang.
with explosions.
As much as I agree that we could, we rescue the boy. That is agreed. There is no doubt in that. But I worry that if we incite the villagers to rise up against the Fire Nation, when we leave here, they are the ones who are going to be punished, not us. There are no warriors amongst these villagers. Look at them. They're all merchants. They're all traders. Yes, we could rise up, have them incite a riot or something, or create a distraction. But when we leave this village, that's on us for what happens to them when they are left at the mercy of the Fire Nation.
All the more
And I
reason to
know
not
more
cause
than
a
anything
fuss.
what the Fire Nation will do.
All the
I
more
agree,
reason to
but
be
I'm just-
silent, stealthy, in and out, rescue the boy, save a life.
I agree,
we
but
don't even have
I
to
don't
reintroduce
agree.
them.
I don't agree that using the village as a diversion is a great tactic. I think
That
that's
wasn't my
dangerous.
suggestion at all. It was just...
In which case, I apologize for misinterpreting.
Ah,
Look at me, I apologize.
You could
I'm
be a
capable of
Kyoshi
it,
warrior.
everybody.
it's just like you, Bayer.
Just like me. Well, not quite. A little heavy on the makeup, and the weapon skills leave much to be desired. But anyway, we could just try and split the forces. There's 7 of them. Let's turn it down to 3, to 2, to 1, and then it's just a case of one guard protecting this boy, and that's an easy way of getting him out.
Okay.
It's just, how do we split 7 down to 1?
Without
Or to 0?
large explosion.
Well,
Unless
I'm all
the-
out of ideas.
Well, don't forget as well, I'm going to use this time to remind you guys, there are things like you guys could try and scope out the building, maybe see if there's like an easy entrance point, or see where the guards are positioned. You could try and, maybe not get the villagers to cause a distraction, but you could try and speak to maybe the mayor or somebody to see if they know anything. You guys, feel free to, you guys can think outside the box. Like, don't feel like you have to just go in and start a fight or anything like that. And also think about how you want to approach this in general, right? The other option is you could just, as Bai says, just be like, right, let's just charge them and fight them, and take them by surprise.
I'm more thinking, in the route that they're taking, like one guard.
You could try and
goes
ambush
to
them on the way.
investigate something. He doesn't come back. The next guard goes to investigate something. He gets tied up somewhere, and eventually, then there's only like 3 people carrying this boy.
We lay
Maybe
traps.
something we can deal with.
Yeah, you could try it. Like, it looks like they haven't left yet. It looks like they're probably going to set out in the morning. You guys could try and get ahead of them. You could wait. What do you guys want to do? Like, you've got some time here, potentially.
How much time do we have before the volcano goes boom?
You don't know. You know that they took a ship to try and reach it as quickly as possible, but the ship will need to kind of go around the coast. It's quite mountainous. Yeah, the sooner you get there, the better. But you don't know how long exactly. It's not like you have a hard, like, we've got 3 days to do this.
Yeah. We do have some time pressures in that there is a volcano about to go kablooey. So I do wonder if waiting for them to transport the boy is perhaps a little foolish. We are time poor at the moment. Perhaps... Oh, yes, Rang? You're making that face?
I'm thinking, but I'm worrying, what if there was a period where the boy is not looked at and we swap him for, like a stuffed doll, a dupe. Just give us enough time to get away, you know? Just the old
I
bait
like
and
it.
switch.
I like it.
We could
Now
get
find a duplicate boy.
well, or we could find out where the boy came from or who the boy came from and
I
find
can
their
get a big
clothing.
fish.
Okay.
We did really nail down the process of, water bending, air bending. It's easy for us to do. Fish are definitely an option. Just
We
saying.
are really good at that.
Could we use the fish as weapons? Somehow?
Weapons
Yeah.
for who?
Why?
What? I don't
I don't know.
We could throw the fish at them, and then they'd slip
No,
over.
No, this is causing a chaotic
just-
situation.
I could just put ice on the ground and trip them all up.
No, we're not tripped. No, I was thinking like they won't even notice that the boy's changed, and we're in and out, and we can get on towards the volcano, and they would only notice
I think
by the time we've gone.
the guards will notice when the boy has been swapped out for a fish wearing boy clothes.
Okay, let's park the fish as a boy idea. Fish are not people. I am a dab hand at making props, so I could perhaps fashion something out of sackcloth and, straw and hay and things like that. I could make a duplicate prop. However, how we get the prop in there, that's your job.
I could make him look like he's walking. I could, air at him and make him move his little legs. Right?
Sure.
Oh.
I say we integrate the buyer idea of potentially distracting individual guards away from the boy, the ones that are closest to him, so that we can make this switch. And then we do the switch, and we skedaddle. We get out of there. And we could use air, we could use other things to cause that distraction in the distance, which caused the guards to go over and look. Quick, over the head, boom. Whilst Melee is putting in the switched boy.
You really need to enunciate
Melee.
better my name. Melee.
Melee.
Melee is a fighting style.
Kiana.
Melee is my name. That is Kahina. Kahina.
Brilliant.
Enunciate, darling.
Okay.
Right.
cool.
Prop making? Prop making. I'm going to start making a prop. You tell me whether or not you want it. Otherwise, I'm going to just blow something up.
I've got these plushies and things from the merch stand that you could fashion,
Fantastic.
Possibly. What I would like at this point, because I think that, let's get some rolls to get some answers. I think from the sounds of it, Reng, in a sense, you're trying to assess the situation, trying to make a plan, trying to think of what can you use, maybe Reng does a quick looks at this building, because you haven't even looked at what the defenses of this barracks and stuff are, right? You've
It's
just
fine.
been having a conversation.
Yeah.
So to kind of get the rolls going, have Reng do an assess a situation, which is when you assess a situation, roll with creativity. Mei Li, if you would like to try and fashion some props to use as some sort of thing, I mean,
Oh boy.
What's this?
This is either pushing your luck or relying on skills and training, and I can't decide which one it is, because I think
Well-
you do have a background as a performer, and
Mhm.
doing all of this kind of stuff. It's also pretty kind of crazy that you're going to create a fake boy.
You said the
Thinking out
sky's
of
the limit.
box.
Yeah,
I
what
like
you
it.
said
Which is,
before.
and that is exactly
Think
what
out the
pushing your
box.
luck is for.
Yeah.
Well, Reng, how did you do on your assessor situation?
I
Let's do
got an
that first.
8.
An 8. Okay. So on a 7 to 9, you may ask one question from the list. So I do have, if you check your handouts on Roll20, there is a moves sheet built into that, which has got all the basic moves. But you have 5 questions here. You can ask one. What here can I use to blank? Who or what is the biggest threat? What should I be on the lookout for? What's my best way out, in, through? Or who or what is in the greatest danger? You can ask one of those questions.
Now I
About
could
the
play to
situation.
my character and not get that much useful out of this by saying, who's in the greatest danger here? Is Bayer okay? Basically.
Well, then you wouldn't ask that question
I
because
wouldn't.
you would know that, right? Like you're like, I know who's in the greatest danger. It's Bayer and me.
And it's the boy. I feel like Mei Li has full control of this dupe, and I don't need to ask about that. So I'm going to be asking, what's my best way in and out of the...
Or through. Yeah. So when Reng, you kind of pop out and begin checking out this building. The best way in or out, both entrances are guarded by two guards each. There's like a back entrance and a front entrance, both of which are guarded. There is also a patrolling guard who is just walking around, keeping an eye on the wagon, moving around the building. Trying to sneak by them is going to be pretty tough. These are trained soldiers. The best way to get in and out of this building will be going up and through the roof. So it looks like they're not watching. There are a series of upper windows, kind of just big open spaces with curtains, because it looks like maybe this was launched like a kind of fish storehouse, and so there's ventilation, otherwise it would get to stink, right? So there's like all these open vents and windows along the top half of the building, and that looks to be like your best way inside, in and out, without being detected.
Cool.
If you wanted to sneak
Very
in.
useful. So I'll relay that to the team under the market stall with the raindrops coming down, and like just shoving up my back against the market stall, crouched down. Okay, I've had a look around, and there's definitely in and out of the two main gates, the front and back. No go. That's a no go. I'm panicking about that. We shouldn't go those places. All right. There's a single patrol that's going around. Maybe Dower, you want to fight. Bayer, you want to fight. Maybe we could take that one patrol out.
Perfect.
Stealthily, as much as we can. And then we need some sort of rope or something to get up on the roof because of the ventilation of this ex-fish house or store or something. There's holes in the top, and I reckon that's the best way in. Okay? And then we do it quietly. No deaths. No explosions.
No.
Can't guarantee
Okay.
that.
Oh, if we fall off the top. I haven't even thought of that yet. Oh.
Wait, how big is the patrol?
One. A single solitary guard that does a patrol.
Okay.
But it's like
between me and
moving between the
Dara.
points. Like the two other guards could potentially, if they don't see that guard, they'll probably be concerned.
You might have to play your distraction card, Bayer, and get them to move away from the front or rear guards, because I feel like they're always in eye shot.
Meanwhile,
Okay.
Melee, because Kim did want to do this as well. I mean, you tell me, Kim, what do you think? Is this skills and training, or are you pushing your luck trying to create this fake puppet, this boy, out of what you can get to hand, which is like sacks of straw and maybe cabbages?
Don't know why you're laughing at this. It's a great
Cabbage
idea.
boy.
I'm not laughing at the idea.
Cabbage boy, coming to life. I've got this ability called Here's the Plan, and I wonder I don't know if this would help particularly, but it could perhaps help the other team as well, just on a kind of side note. So I've got
This
Here's the
sounds
Plan.
like you're making a plan.
When you work a plan with someone, roll with creativity. On a hit, everyone present while you lay out the plan becomes prepared. On a 10, hold 2. On a 7 to 9, hold 1. And then you can spend your hold 1 for 1 while the plan is being carried out to either aid someone, so give them a +1 to their roll, rally someone and they become inspired, or call out a warning and command and negate fatigue, condition or fatigue. It's
This
updated
is
a little bit since last week,
100%
so.
you making a plan. Like 100. This is exactly you're doing this move. Like this whole let's make a decoy and Reng's going to scope out the place and then we're going to distract. Like this is what you guys are doing. But Melee's kind of like helping orchestrate it, right? Like kind of coordinate it. So so roll with creativity. Let's see what you get.
So I have +2 to creativity.
So 2d6 plus 2.
8.
On a miss, hold 1, but your plan encounters some disastrous
got an 8,
opposition.
right?
Right.
No,
from
I
the
got
start.
an 8. Because I got +2.
Oh, you got an 8 because
So
you get
I rolled a
+2. That's
6,
right.
but
It doesn't
+2.
add the
Yeah.
+2. So you get an 8.
Yeah.
So on a 7 to 9, you hold 1. So you just get to pick one.
So I would like. Let me just check actually, because I haven't seen what the inspired condition is. Let me
So
click
inspired
through
is a
inspired.
status, which is a new thing. So inspired is you're ready to stand for something. Clear, inspired to shift your balance towards a principle of your choice. So somebody can spend that to basically shift themselves towards one of their balances and use that.
I'm gonna. Do you know what? Given that I know us, low rollers, I'm going to aid someone. So add a +1 to their roll, and they can choose after rolling. And I think I would like to aid Team Distracty.
Well, you don't need to pick now. So when it says hold 1, you just hold that aid. And at any point in this scenario where this plan, when at any point during this plan, you can say, I'm going to give them the +1. I'm just going to give it to them after they roll as well. So you get to decide that, right?
That's cool.
Cool. Okay. So,
and in which case, I'm going to, so that's that bit. So I've done that bit, but I will push my luck. Although I don't know, I feel like skills and training, but then no, I'm oh god, I'm indecisive. That's what I am.
I think this is a push. I'm going to make the call. I actually think this is pushing your luck because
push my luck.
Like there is a big difference between skills and training. Like, yes, if this was about playing a role or even making just a normal costume, making like a whole dummy, I think is a bit beyond what Melee is capable
in like
of.
5 minutes.
I think this is in 5, and that's the other thing, right? If you had like a day to make this,
I can just see the scene of like the guard like tearing off the blanket, and it's just like a sack with a smiley face scrawled on it with a
onto
shirt
a cabbage.
On.
Yeah, it's like a cabbage in a couple of like sacks,
and that whole
right.
Well, darling, if you wanted more, I need more time. Anyway,
so this is
if
with
I roll
passion.
with luck, with passion,
yes. So this is you make a roll
that's a
with
-1 for me. See ya. So a 6. This is a 6. Wow.
So
I have
on a
-1.
6. So yeah, I mean, like, there's no. So it says on a hit you do it, but it costs you to scrape by. The DM tells you what it costs. On a 10, your boldness pays off despite the cost, and you get a lucky opportunity. This is just a straight up. You don't get what you want. And there's like a consequence to it. So I think that the time, so what it is that the time Melee has been trying to put together this puppet, Rang's been scoping everything out. You present the puppet Melee to the others, and it immediately like the head falls off, one of the arms like comes unstitched and falls down. It's just, this isn't going to work. And the time, unfortunately, you begin to hear like kind of like the sounds of something going on in that storeroom. You begin to hear like, no more waiting, we take him now. We've just had, like, we should take him to the stronghold now. No waiting till sunrise. Let's just get him out of here. And you can hear the guards making the preparations to like, they're gonna take this kid now.
What do we do?
So you've got like, you need to act immediately if you want to do this. Like, you have to basically try and get him out in the next sort of few minutes. Otherwise they're going to load him up.
Have a rope. The plan's falling apart.
You can have stuff like ropes. Like, I'm not gonna. You can just be like, yeah, we've got some rope if you want.
I have a cabbage child.
The cabbage child is like falling apart.
He's so cute.
Can we keep him? I think we should keep the cabbage child anyway.
Absolutely.
We could try with the vent option that you suggested with some rope.
Okay. Are you ready to take out that guard? Are we ready to lure them?
No, but
Dawa, we need to go get at least 2 of the patrol outside. One on the front gate, the other one patrolling around. You distract them. I'll knock them out when they come around the corner. Okay?
Okay.
Then who's going up? Who's going to get the boy?
I can get the boy.
Us
well,
together.
I'll help. Yeah.
We'll give you a boost.
So then Reng will basically be on the outside of the building.
Scoping.
Right. Okay. In this case, so it sounds like Bayer and Dower, you are going to just try and clobber one of the, like, this patrolling guardsman, right? You're just going to try and wait till he comes around a corner, and then you're just going to jump out of the shadows and try and fight.
Yeah, or like pull them away from their post, take them down, tie them up. And then if another one comes around, the same thing.
Yeah. So what we're going to do for you two is we're going to run this as a combat exchange, with you guys having a surprise attack, basically. So you guys will just get to do your thing, basically. You'll just get to take this however you want to go. The rest of you, whilst that is going on, and combat exchanges work like little action sequences, whilst that is going on, then we'll just do normal moves for the rest of you guys, like trying to climb up and do whatever it is you're going to do, right? But because the combat exchange is kind of a new thing, let's do that one first. There's no initiative or anything like that. So the way this works is, and I don't know if there's actually, I was trying to see if there was like some rule. I don't know if there's like specific stuff for surprise attacks. I'm just going to quickly check. I think that you just get to do what you want to do pretty easily.
Could we play it as me using technique, and it is like
I guess you could actually, yeah. I guess because this is, it's not a full exchange, right? Like this isn't a back, you're not exchanging blows. This is you just get to do a cool thing. Oh, hang on, here we go.
Yeah, my intention was Star Wars airbending, does some move stuff around, pulls them away from their post, draws them closer, and then I get all Kyoshi up in them.
Yeah, so this is actually going to be, it is going to be the basic moves. It's not going to be a combat exchange yet. So reading up on it, because you have surprise, we also, I think that's how we're going to play it out. So so Dawa, what are you doing? So Bayer's obviously waiting for some sort of, you to do something, and then Bayer's going to try and knock them out, right? What does Dawa do?
So Dawa's going to gesture over to Bayer and be like, "Hey Bayer, watch this," and then I'm just gonna just blow a cabbage along the ground, in front of this guard, and try and get him to see it.
Cabbage tumbleweed.
Is it the cabbage head maybe with the smiley face?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Wonderful. This is definitely when you trick an NPC. So can you roll with creativity for me? As you're trying to lure this guard away with a cabbage head tumbleweed.
I mean, a smiley face on a cabbage, that is what?
It's pretty distracting.
Oh, no! Oh my god!
There it is!
2 1.
Classic Rhiannon roll.
Yep. Let me just consult my basic GM moves. What
We call them high rollers, everybody.
Strategy.
But that's a big lie. Real big lie there.
I just love the interpretation of the plan.
I got this. I got the idea of this, right? So, because sometimes with a miss, you get what you want, but it's so much worse than what you actually wanted. So I think that the idea is that you're going to blow this cabbage to Bayer so that Bayer can then clobber them, right? You're going to kind of use this tumbleweed to lure them over to Bayer.
I sure hope so.
Well, here's the thing. The guard is like, huh? That cabbage has got a face on it. Hey, toe, bow, and pulls a bunch more guards. And they're like, ha ha ha, and they look at the cabbage and they come after it. And they stumble right into Bayer. Bayer, what do you do?
I mean...
There's 3 of them now.
3 of them?
Yeah.
I mean, I've also got, fans out. I've got a power stance going,
full
a fighting
on.
stance.
This is Han Solo Stormtrooper moment.
And then we're here to take the kid, and I'm going to start running and hope they follow me.
Okay, so you just want to just try and run away, basically. Try and get away from what you're trying to do, right?
I mean, I almost want to lure them further away from this place, but in a running away from the fight sort of thing. Maybe kick over some stuff behind me and knock them down.
All right, yeah, if you want to try and do that, that's a very different thing to just running away. If you want to try and smash some boxes in their way as you're running to try and slow them down, that's different to just running away.
I think if this was an engagement, I'd be evading for sure, but also
so this is the thing
to pick them apart.
Now it's not just one guard. when you run away, the next thing we're going to do is a combat exchange between Bayer and these guards, right? That's 100. They are fighting you. You don't have a choice. They are fighting you next turn. They're going to try and capture you. If you want to try and slow them down before they can get to you, then that's going to be relying on your skills and training. Like, move now. But next, like, the next thing we're going to do is a combat exchange as they chase you.
I will throw the cabbage at one of them, hit him in the face, and then start running.
Sure, give me your rely on your skills. Give me your rely on your skills and training for sure.
Rely on my skills and training. So what am I rolling here?
This is with focus. This is with
plus
focus.
3.
Very good. Come on.
Amazing.
MVC.
That's a 11. No, it's not. What is it? No, it's not. I read the wrong one.
Oh no!
A 6 with a plus 3. Oh my god. Okay.
You should have
What
easily
if-
got a 10 on that.
Could the aid come in here? And
Any
to bring
time
you
is
up to a
part of the
7?
plan. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're going to tell me how you aid them. So is this Melee seeing this and running to help Bayer and getting involved? That means Melee will be part of this fight next turn. Or
I'm just
is this
wondering, like,
you're going to throw something? Like, you tell me, what's this? What does the aid look like here?
What were you going to say, Tom?
I was going to say, in terms of using the aid, this was from making the plan, right? This has now gone so drastically against the plan that I'm not 100% if an aid makes sense here. Like,
Well, no, because I don't want to rob Kim of using her cool move, right? She used her cool move.
Is it one use, the aid?
It doesn't have to be something that you pre-prepare. It doesn't have to, the think of the narrative is that, like, Melee was aware that you were going to try and distract the guards and is keeping an eye on you, and now she's going to, like, do something improvised to give you that +1, is the way I'm going to rule it, right? It doesn't have to be something that you pre-prepared. Or maybe it was. Maybe it's like Melee thought this might happen, and we see that she actually set up a rope and is going to tug on that to try and trip up one of the guards, or, something like that, right? Like, we can explain the narrative. You still get the mechanical benefit of the +1.
The guy I hit stumbles backwards into a rope that Melee at some point somehow placed in this alleyway, and that trips him up, potentially.
Or it's like the leftover remains of Cabbage Boy or something.
Yeah, I was going to think, like, I'm going to use... I use my cabbage son's torso, which is more cabbages, and roll them underfoot. So as the guard goes to attack you, they like roll up, they trip and roll upwards.
Yeah, because it's only going to give Tom the +1.
Down.
So
yeah,
what
it's
this
just
would
giving
do
you a
is this
+1.
would
That's all it's doing.
Yeah, so this would turn it from a 6 to a 7, which is a success, but it's imperfect. The GM tells you how your approach might lead to unexpected consequences. Accept those consequences or mark 1 fatigue.
I want to know quickly how many cabbages you guys stole as we exited the wagon last episode.
Enough to fill a boy-shaped sack. That's how many cabbages.
We're resistance fighters.
Maybe like 4 or 5.
Cabbage under each arm.
Yeah.
So, Melee, did you want to use that +1 now?
Yes, I will
up to
use
you.
that +1.
Okay, so
help
we
this
see the
sweet
guard.
child.
So you try and kick the cabbage up, right? It does hit the guy in the face, or maybe I think that this soldier pulls out a sword and cuts the cabbage in half. And is like, you're gonna have to do better than whoa, and then like slips on like this kind of like bag of cabbages he wasn't looking at because he was trying to be cool.
Oh my god, I was screaming when the cabbage boy gets cut in half.
Yeah.
My sweet cabbage son.
Well, maybe that's because it does say here there's an unexpected consequence. Maybe Dawa's scream is going to draw other guards, right? So you can either mark 1 fatigue or that happens. Like you kind of are like, Dawa, shut up.
I mean,
like,
sure. If my intention now is to lure and separate the guards, which is kind of my initial plan, right? Then
yeah, it's just that this is making it a lot harder for you. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I'll take that.
Okay. Well, it might not necessarily be luring more guards to you. It might just be putting the guards on alert that something's going on.
Well, yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it anyway.
All right. Sure. Yeah, you take it.
Just because I love the idea of Darwa screaming about her cabbage child now.
Like Home Alone face slap scream.
You killed him!
You killed him! Meanwhile, before we do this combat exchange with Bayer, because that is absolutely happening next, because you got what you wanted.
Right.
You disabled one of these guards, but there's still 2 of them that are going to try and get you. Kahina and Reng, what are you guys doing at this point? Are you going to try and climb up this rope and or how are you going to get up the side of the building?
Reng looks at the side of the building and then looks to his right as he sees Bayer just sprinting away with multiple guards chasing.
Mm-hmm. One of them stumbles back, but the other 2 continue.
Why? No! What's happening? And I have to chase. I have to protect Bayer. I have to get engaged. Save the boy! Save the boy! I've got to go! And I chase after Bayer.
Run off to engage the soldiers with Bayer.
Okay. No, save the boy.
Oh, save the boy.
Sorry,
You're going to...
As in, I'm telling Mei Li and Kahina to save the boy whilst I'm like, I've got to go save Bayer.
Gotcha. All right. So that means, Reng, you want to go and engage these soldiers so that when the combat exchange happens, you will be in.
I want to be in the way. Yeah, I've got my spear out and I'm involved.
Perfect. In that case, Mei Li and Kahina, what about you guys? You see Reng run off, chasing after in a Benny Hill moment as Bayer goes screaming one way, a bunch of guards go screaming the other way, one chops a cabbage in half, Dao is making a face in the alleyway oh!
Excuse me,
Then Reng
it is
goes
not
chasing.
a cabbage. It is my cabbage son's head. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of watching this and I'm like, oh, he had so much to give. And
All
yeah,
right, I'm gonna go to the actual person who might get something done then.
Kahina, what I guess we need to get up into this vent. So I'm saying, because I'm too busy quipping. What are you doing?
I think Kahina is probably gonna start to climb towards the vents with the rope that she has, and she'll probably try and use Mei Li to get a boost up. If
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she
Mei Li can help. You just have to mark 1 fatigue to give her +1. And Kahina, I guess, Kahina is, coming from the water tribes, right? You're quite a wildernessy, used to rugged environments, right? So yeah, this would be skills and training because I think climbing for you would be a thing that you're quite good at. So normally this would be with focus. What do you normally add for your focus?
-1.
So, well, what I'm going to say is don't forget it's a little bit better because it would be a 0 rather than a -1. You can, at any time I ask you for a roll, you can mark a fatigue to roll with a principle instead. So your principles are care and force. It's 0 for both, but it's better than -1. And you'd get a +1 from Mei Li as well. So, but you'd have to mark a fatigue to do it.
We'll do
Done
that.
I mark the fatigue, or
so you
Kahina
mark
has
1 to give +1, and then Kahina is
Got
going
it.
to use her balance principles, and she has to mark a fatigue to do that as well.
Got it.
Okay.
Nice.
Um,
And then it's going to be a 2d6. So it would normally be -1. Instead, it's going to be 0, but then you get a +1 from Mei Li, so it's 2d6 +1.
+1 means 10 then.
Oh,
5
10.
and a 4.
Perfect. So a 10 on a, and this is a relying on your skills and training. A 10 is you get everything you could possibly want from this. 7 you put it doesn't actually have a thing for a full 10, but yeah, you climb up here with ease, with Mei Li giving you boost, with kind of digging into the kind of smooth stone, maybe using your water bending to kind of give you things to hold on to, creating things that you can use to clamber up with.
I think she might
kind of,
use
spraying out.
little pieces of ice as she goes and just
little
fix
rocks
them
to grip
onto
onto.
to grip up and use the little chunks of ice.
Yeah, easy. So you get up to the top. One of these kind of open sort of sliding windows, you manage to open it up and you can hoist yourself inside, and you can drop the rope down if you want as well, to give Mei Li a rope to climb her up as well, which basically means that there won't be a roll for it.
Yes,
Looking
I will do
inside, you can see that there is one Fire Nation soldier inside. Seems to be their metal armor is a bit more decorated. They have like gold shoulder pads instead of silver. And they're looking out the door, and you can hear him kind of calling out like, "Hey, what's going on? What are you doing out there, fools?" And he's just like, "Oh, for goodness sakes, I can't believe I've been loaded with this failure of a unit." And is kind of stomping around, but isn't leaving. But yeah, is kind of inside at the moment. Well, as you see that and you kind of drop the rope down, let's jump to the pair. So Bayer, two of these Fire Nation soldiers, spears, shields, come kind of running towards you. We are going to do a combat exchange here. Reng, you're going to be part of this. Okay. Reng, you're going to square off against the one that was slowed down by Bayer, the one that kind of got that cut the cabbage in half. Bayer, you're going to be squaring up against the two other soldiers who have managed to kind of keep rushing onwards after you. And I want to do this because I want it very specifically to try out these combat moves. So when you engage in combat, what happens is we both choose a type of approach. So we do this in secret. So I'm going to choose the approaches for both combatants, the two groups of Fire Nation soldiers. There are 3 approaches: defend and maneuver, advance and attack, evade and observe. Right? I will pick one of those, and then inside each of those approaches, there are 3 basic techniques. Now, you guys also have a combat technique in your playbooks as well, and then there is also NPCs might have techniques they can use, and you can choose those depending on which of the 3 approaches they fall into. We pick them in secret, and then we reveal them both at the same time, and then you go in a certain order. So defend and maneuver always goes first, and you guys win ties. If we both choose the same thing, you guys will always go first, right? Then advance and attack goes, and then evade and observe goes, right? You then make a roll depending on the combat approach you're doing, and that determines how many techniques in that exchange you get to do. And the way to think of an exchange isn't a single attack. It might be a series of attacks. It might be like a few moments of like doing cool combat stuff. The idea is that it's representing like a sequence, like if this was an episode of the show, this would be a cool little moment of combat that we would see, right? Cool. So I've picked mine. I've got my 2 in mind already.
Okay.
Same.
You both good to go?
My intention in this combat is almost delayed.
You don't need to tell me.
I know. I'm just describing what I'm doing so that we can decide what it is. Because
right. Okay. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah,
I've got a choice of 2 different ones here.
Sure.
And I want to, as I'm moving away and seizing positions and luring them towards me, I'm knocking stuff over and trying to trap them and stuff. So there's 2 different things I've got here. In the defend and maneuver, there's seizing positions, which is moving to a new locations, engaging and disengaging and stuff like that, which I'm kind of doing. But there's also in evade and observe, there's bolster or hinder, and in this case, hindering. I want to impede nearby characters, inflicting appropriate status effects to them. And some of the statuses is things like trap. So I think I'll go with that one, evade and observe, with the hinder approach.
Yeah. So that means that you are not trying to necessarily run away and disengage. You're focusing on like trying to lure them into like dead end alleyways and like knock things down on them like boxes and trying to impede them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it matters because like when I pick certain things, I might be able to stop you doing things, but also if you try and seize a position, if you try and get away, I can just stop you doing that by marking fatigue. I can just say they're going to spend a fatigue and they stop you getting away. You don't get to run away now. So I can do stuff like that. So it's important to establish that stuff. All right. So in secret, you've picked evade and observe. It doesn't matter because I've already picked one.
Sure. Yeah.
So let's reveal it. So Trot, what did you pick?
I picked defend and respond, and I have a special fighting technique on my playbook.
All right, we'll save that for now. So you're picking defend and maneuver as your approach, right?
Yeah.
As your approach. Okay. I am picking advance and attack for both of the villains.
Really?
So, yeah, the way that, and this is it, right? Like you can normally decide what's going to happen. So Trot, because you picked defend and maneuver, you get to do yours first, right? So before you decide your technique, though, because you have to make a roll. So you are rolling with focus. So it's 2d6 plus your focus normally. But again, remember, you can mark fatigue to use one of your balance principles.
Okay.
If you wish.
I'm currently just very much focused. So I'm going to do my regular +2, which is a 10.
A 10 is amazing. So normally in the full game with a 10, you would actually be able to use mastered techniques as well. So, or you'd be able to use master techniques or learn techniques. We're not using those because we're just playing with the basic rules for now. So on a 7 to 9 for a PC, you would be able to use one basic or master technique. On a 10 plus, you get to choose from this list instead. Mark one fatigue to use a learn technique. You guys don't have any learn techniques currently. Use one practice technique or use 2 basic or mastered techniques. So in this case, you can get to use 2 techniques for this.
Oh, wow. So this is checked.
Or your special one, I think. Because what's
my
your
special one has both LP and M crossed off. So
yes. So yes, you can use it. You can use that and another one. Yes. So you get to use 2.
Brilliant. I'm going to start with this one, which is divert, which is step in the way of blows intended for allies. When any ally within reach suffers a blow, this exchange, I can suffer it for them. If I also retaliate this exchange, deal an additional 1 fatigue each time. So, and I'd also use retaliate as my second technique.
Okay, cool. So I think that in the narrative, like in the what we see from this is Bayer is like leading them into like a kind of closed off alleyway and trying to like knock things in and trap them and slow them down. Meanwhile, Reng, you have moved yourself into a position and you are just in the way. Like anytime these tries to step forward with the spear, you're kind of lashing back out. And as they try and reach Bayer, you're throwing yourself in the way and taking the blows instead. Cool.
Yeah,
and then we'll see what... So retaliate is each time a foe inflicts fatigue, a condition, or shifts your balance in this exchange, you inflict 1 fatigue on that foe, but you now do 2 fatigue on that foe because of your special thing.
Yeah.
Divert, amazing. Well, both of these foes now get to do their thing. So for this, because I don't roll dice, it just says the GM chooses 1 technique tied to that approach, plus additional techniques equal to the NPC's current principal score. These guys are pretty much like nobodies, so they don't get an additional principal score, so they just get to choose 1 technique each. And I think that, I think that these guys would be... One of them is going to use pressure, which is impress or intimidate a foe. Choose an approach. Your foe cannot choose that approach in the next exchange, and they are going to stop you from using defend and maneuver. These guys are going to come at you very aggressively, and they're going to kind of keep you from being able to take a defensive stance next exchange, if there is one, if there is another exchange. And then the other thing they're going to do is just strike a foe, and they are going to try and reach and grab you guys. Strike a foe in reach, forcing them to mark 2 fatigue, mark and condition, or shift their balance away from center. Their choice. So you get to pick which one I do. Or I can mark 1 fatigue on these guys to instead choose to either cause fatigue or a condition. And yeah, I think that these guys would... Yeah, I think they're going to try and wear you out a little bit first. So they're just going to choose... I'm going to do mark 1 fatigue on them to cause... to cause them to deal 2 fatigue. But that automatically goes to Reng because of divert.
They get 2 fatigue as a retaliation.
So they actually take 4 fatigue in this fight, basically. So these 2 guards, we actually see Reng, like... The two... No, it'd be the one guy, actually. The one guy that you engaged first, Reng, you just knock him completely on his floor. Like, he tries to pressure, he's trying to, like, strike you and knock you down, and you just... Like,
yeah, I'm not using the bladed end of my spear. I'm very much butting them with, like, 2 hands on the spear.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is Avatar, right?
Tripping them up.
there's no blood and gore and violence, like you're like knocking them over or like knocking them out, or like, you know, with Divert I can almost see you, because like Bayer's led them into a closed alleyway, you're actually kind of like slamming them into the walls and things like that with these techniques, and like tripping them up and stuff like that, kind of knocking them all over the place. And yeah, one of these guys just kind of gets knocked out and falls completely unconscious.
How much fatigue do I take?
So you would have taken 2. Yes.
2
fatigue. But remember, like, if you run out of fatigue, you then just start marking conditions. You don't automatically get knocked out. These guys get knocked out because they're just nobodies. If this was a more powerful enemy, they could just start taking conditions as well. They're actually much harder to knock out in an exchange. Okay, so that's the 2 bad guys. And then we go to Bayer, who chose Evade and Observe. So on Evade and Observe, it says clear 1 fatigue and roll with creativity or harmony.
Okay, cool. I'm not going to roll with creativity because that's a 0. So I've got a +1 with harmony, so not much better. 7.
Okay, with a 7 to 9, you get to use 1 basic or mastered technique. So either your playbook technique or one of the ones from the Evade and Observe approach. There are 3 here: test balance, bolster or hinder, or commit.
Yeah, so I wanted to do the hinder approach, dropping crates on them and trying to trap them, if that's the one that fits the best.
So yeah, I was reading up a little bit on this. It does say in the quick start guide, somebody shouldn't normally be able to be trapped unless they're stunned first. So it's the idea that, like, because trapped is a very powerful status, it's the idea that they have to be completely helpless and then you trap them. But I think that you could cause stunned easily, right?
Oh,
like,
sure. Yeah.
Like you could, you like knock the crates, it like falls on their heads, and they're like, oh, and their helmets like get pushed down over their eyes as you like throw your fans up to like knock things down.
Yeah, there's also impaired as well, slowed or off balance. PC must mark. Oh, it says PCs, but NPCs mark
well, it still applies to those guys. Yeah. And then NPCs choose 1 fewer technique. So it means that they wouldn't be able to do anything. So I'll leave it up to you. You could either do impaired or stunned. And then if you do this again, you might be able to trap them next turn. Or next exchange.
Yeah, I'll go with impaired because I want them to be able to act less than they currently are. Whereas I guess stunned means they don't act at all, actually. I'll go with impaired. I think that fits better.
Sure, if you think that fits. So yeah, you knock all of these crates, and maybe like there's big jugs of like oil for like cooking, and you knock those over, and it like slicks the floor, and they're like sliding all over it, and like, you know, have to steady themselves, maybe dropping their spears temporarily or something, which is going to give you, you know, it's going to stop them being able to necessarily take too much of an extreme action. So that is the end of the exchange. We now decide, does that exchange continue? Is there a reason to? Or do you guys want to try and do something else? Are they willing to listen? Like, if you wanted to try and speak to them, if you wanted to try and, you know, do something else, like use, you know, I don't know. This is down to you guys, right? These guys are probably still going to try and attack you, so it's unlikely that they're not going to just continue the exchange, but I want to give you guys that opportunity to try and do something, you know?
Okay.
Or like suggest it if you wanted to.
I would rush in doing all these like wall slams and stuff, just calling back to Bayer saying, "Are you okay? Is this part of the plan?"
Well, this is the other thing, actually, because you've impaired them, Bayer. If you want to run away, now is the chance. Like, you could leave them like this and try and get out, or you can try and, you know, make sure they're not going to come after you again.
I mean, I feel like for me, if Bayer was to look up at the building that we're trying to get into, and I saw Hina and Meili were, you know, at the vent and still not quite boy in hand, I would continue the strategy of delaying and distracting these guys.
Dealing with these guys. So, okay. All right.
For me, the fight continues. But if someone else has anything, then yeah.
No, it sounds like to Reng, that's the same thing, and the soldiers are definitely continuing the exchange, so we're going to continue the exchange. But to keep it moving with everyone else, Dawa, Kahina, and Meili, what about you guys? Kahina, you can see this Fire Nation soldier in front of this cage. There's like a rudimentary wooden cage and the boy is actually being suspended off the floor. He can't touch the floor. You can see like he's kind of being like held up in like kind of suspended in the middle of this wooden cage. Meili, you are outside. You've seen Reng and Bayer disappear into the alleyways. You can hear pots smashing and things kind of like some sort of fighting going on in there, but you can't see it. Dower, the same thing. Like
past.
you can see everybody else. You don't know what's happening with those guys. What do the three of you want to try and do?
Oh, well, I guess I'm kind of still just stood here with Kahina on my shoulders, kind of like, anytime soon, darling. Anytime soon.
I put a rope down for you.
Oh,
so
you put a rope down.
Climb up.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, she
I'll
climbed
climb
up.
up then.
Yep.
I'll climb up then.
Can I try and... Can I... If the guard looks away from the boy, if he's is he looking towards the door where the soldiers are making noise?
Yeah, he's definitely looking towards the door. Yeah, he's not too worried about the boy at the moment. For sure.
Okay. I was wondering if I could potentially use my water bending to get some water around the chains that are holding the boy up to freeze them, and then try and shoot one of my ice spears through them to try and snap the chains so he can land on the ground.
I don't even think they're chains. I think it's just rope. I think he's like had rope tied around like his hands, and he's kind of being held, up by rope. Because I don't think like this is like a small fishing village. I don't know if they'd even bother with chains. And this boy doesn't look particularly strong. He's just being held off the ground. So yeah, you could definitely try and do that for sure. That is going to be a rely on your skills and training, I think. Because let me just check. This is where I've got to keep checking this stuff because it's new to me as well. Yeah. Or if you wanted to, actually, Katie, like to kind of you looking around, if you wanted to, like when you were looking around and like seeing what was held up by, if you want to make and assess the situation before you do that, you can still then do the ice thing afterwards. But if you wanted to get up there and like kind of glance around, do an assess, and then take an action, you could do that as well.
Yeah.
Or you could just be like, no, I'm gonna just try and like get this guy free now.
I'll try and assess the situation first.
Sure. Okay, well, this is roll with creativity.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9, okay. So on a 7 to 9, you get to ask one question. What here can I use to blank? Who or what is the biggest threat? What should I be on the lookout for? What's my best way out, in, through? Or who or what is the greatest danger?
Can I say what is my best way out, in, through for getting this boy?
Yeah, I would say probably the best way out. If you have to have, if this soldier detects what you're doing, going back out the way you came, you're in a very unstable position. You're not in the best place to kind of like have a fight, like perched up on this window that you're currently like kind of got your legs half over. It does look like the doorway that they've all run out of, the guards that kind of came chasing after the others, he's watching that way. You might be able to slip out the other way. You do remember Reng saying that there were guards there, but it's also right next to the wagon. You can see that the wagon loaded up with a moose horse is there. It's ready to go. If you needed to make a quick getaway, you might be able to jump on that wagon and get everyone like to speed on out of here. That might be your best option. You see that just outside the back door, basically on the road.
Okay.
Little wagon with a moose horse.
I'll say to Meili, get the boy down. Shoot the boy down. Throw the ropes.
My apologies.
Shoot
out
the
the
boy.
back. Moose horse.
Shoot the boy.
Drive away.
Okay.
Not shoot the boy, shoot the ropes. Ropes holding the boy.
Okay, yes.
Back door.
Important distinction.
Moose horse.
I've been
Yes?
corrected.
Good plan.
Armadillo horse is an actual
Armadillo horse.
creature.
Armadillo horse.
Is it
I
really?
love them.
Yes.
They're my favorite.
Cool.
The armadillo horse is key to this success.
Ooh.
Yes,
Excellent.
on board. Shooty.
Yes.
Icy.
Who's doing the shooting?
Me?
Go ahead, my darling.
Okay. I will try to do that.
All right, this is a rely on your skills and training. This is your water bending. This is the style that you've perfected. This kind of javelin of ice.
Would
Yes,
that
Kim?
count as making a plan?
No. Also, you've used, I don't know. I think you can only use those once per session, those moves, I think.
Ah, yes. Okay. Apologies.
That's all right.
So this is using focus, correct?
With focus,
might
yes. But remember,
Use another
you can always,
fatigue.
yeah, you can do it with your
I'm gonna do that.
balance.
I'll mark another fatigue so that I can do it without the minus.
Okay.
Maybe, hopefully. Oh, I rolled a 6. So an 8. I rolled a 6 and a 2. 8.
6 and a 2 and 0 modifier, so that gives us an 8, which I believe is... Oh, I've just closed that. On a 7 to a 9, you do it imperfectly. The GM tells you how your approach might lead to unexpected consequences. Accept those consequences or mark 1 fatigue. So I think that, yeah, you kind of a tiny bit of water bending. It freezes the rope. The boy kind of looks up and is trying to look around, but you can see he's held in place. You hold, like, you create like a long kind of javelin of ice. It throws it through. It breaks the rope, but the boy hitting the bottom of the, he's kind of suspended and he drops down. It makes a loud noise. The ice kind of like frosts part of the cage. And I think that probably the imperfectness is like the guard is like, huh? How did you get down? And like he's now looking at the boy in a bit of a shock horror moment. Dower, what about yourself? Like, as we see that kind of happen, I want to make sure that you get a chance here as well.
I think after the cabbage disaster, Dara's gonna let out a little yelp, and then she's gonna push herself forward and run super fast with like her airbending, and she's gonna run down to the docks and steal like a fishing net from like a fisherman, like just be like what, and then chase after where Bara and Reng are and try and fling it over these guards. Okay. I think like running down to the docks and grabbing a fishing net, I don't think that needs a roll because you can just do that, right? So you're gonna kind of run back in, and I guess, yeah, like these guys are currently like impaired. They don't know that you're coming. So I think at this point, do you think that throwing the net on, because I'm thinking here, would Dawa like, would this be like skills and training, do you think? Or is this like, is Dawa like just doing something that she's never done before? Like, is this her kind of just kind of acting in a kind of like, oh, I don't know what to do, I'm going to try and throw this net on them? Like, do you think, or do you think this is something that she's practiced and trained at doing? This is probably more impulsive for her, I think.
So this would be a push your luck, I think.
Yeah.
All right, sure. This is a roll with passion then. Or, like I said, you can mark a fatigue to roll your battle with your principal.
I'm going to mark a fatigue. Just,
and you can roll with action.
For no reason at all. You know?
Yep.
Ooh, my passions are +1, so that's 9.
It's +2 for your action. If you're going to roll with action, did you mark a fatigue?
I marked a fatigue. Oh yes, that's 10.
Yeah, so you can roll with action because that's using your principal. So you can actually add +2 to that.
Well,
so that make it a 10.
10 then. Yeah.
So on a 10, your boldness pays off despite the cost. The GM tells you what other lucky opportunity falls in your lap. So we're going to take a quick break, but I want you to have a think about what that opportunity might be. So Baya and Reng, you're preparing to face off against these guys. Like, they're slipping on this oil, they're kind of off balance, but they're still ready to come for you. And Reng, you've taken like a number of blows, like in this fight that they were trying to reach. Like, you kind of got like bruises, and it's, you know, maybe this isn't going to go as well as you guys think. Like, they're a bit off balance for now, but what if they manage to kind of pull things together? And then out of nowhere, from like the rooftops, you just see like this flash of orange, and this giant fishing net just lands on top of these guys, and they kind of slip on it, and it like trips up, and they all get wrapped up in the fishing net, completely trapping them, like what you were planning to do, Baya. Completely traps them. But yeah, we'll have a think about what this other opportunity might be, because I'm not quite sure.
I have a terrible, terrible idea of what it could be.
Okay, well, we'll do that, but we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, it's all going to be
wonderful. Wonderful.
Nice.
This break, by the way, will be an actual break. We are all going to disappear, so it's going to go to a BRB screen. But just a reminder, all donations, while very much appreciated, will be read on Sunday, not today. If you want to support this though, go check out the Kickstarter. God damn it, go check it out.
Back. Avatar Legends by Magpie
the
Games. Absolutely.
record-breaking Kickstarter.
The record
Might we
breaking.
add.
Yeah.
If you're not doing it, you're missing out.
Absolutely. Perfect. All right. Well, we'll see you in 5, everybody.
See you in a bit.
Flamey-o, hot men. Welcome back to Avatar Legends, the role-playing game. I knew I'd get Tom with that one. Welcome back, everybody. We just had a quick break. We are back with our second half of our second episode of Avatar Legends by Magpie Games, which is available on Kickstarter right now, smashing records. Are they at $3 million? Probably. If not, they're over 2.5. And they've absolutely
Nice.
smashed it, done an amazing job. It's an amazing game, and you should use our link and go and back it and check it
Please.
all out as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Before we left, we had a little combat exchange and also a rescue attempt going on in a small little warehouse in a little fishing village in the Earth Kingdom. But the very last thing was our little Dawa, our little airbender, has sprung into action and thrown a net over a pair of Fire Nation soldiers who were fighting Baya and Reng. But as a result of the roll, we need to come up with like some lucky opportunity falls into the lap. And I've also had another idea as well, but I don't want it to be a punishment necessarily, but Rhiannon liked it, so I might go with it anyway.
Okay.
It's chaos. I'm gonna like
Tom
it.
also had an idea. I want to hear Tom's idea.
Yeah. I mean, so if we've dropped, like, or not dropped, there's oil all over the place, they're slipping around, and now all of these guys are bundled together in this one fishnet thing. I am imagining it as a cartoon. They bundle together and bowling ball slide into the doors of this barn and bust it open. And that's just this one very strange, advantageous thing that happens.
I love that. I do want to add, and it's you didn't get a roll, like this isn't as a consequence for the roll, but I just love it for the story. So I won't do it if you don't want me to do it. But as they go sliding, the last thing these fire soldiers see is silhouetted against the kind of setting sun in little orange robes with blue arrows down her arms. This little figure comes flying and throws a net, and these two soldiers are just like, "Oh, it's the Avatar!" And they get bundled up in this net, like, "The Avatar is here! The Avatar is here!" And then they get like whoosh, slid along, and this bowling ball of a net and soldiers goes crashing in. Kahina and Mei Li, you see the soldier that was inside turns to the boy who's been dropped down, is like, "How did you get free? What's this?" Begins looking up, and then just the doors slam open, and this net of soldiers collapses onto him. I'm going to stun him for a second as he gets kind of like barged, barreled to the side by this event.
Well,
what are you guys doing? and you hear also cries of
I love it.
so much for stealth.
What?
yeah.
He's
you do know that
distracted.
there were
Any
definitely
ideas?
some other guards.
I will, as soon as this opportunity happens, I will hop down from the window, probably doing some beautiful flip, why not, and grab the boy.
So the boy is still in the cage.
He's still in the cage. Okay, can I...
Kahina has released him from his bonds, like he was being held up off the ground by a rope, but there is a wooden cage around him. But so you land, so you can't just grab him. What do you want to do?
Yeah. How high off the ground is the cage?
It's raised up on like a pair of metal pegs, so it's not high off the ground, but it just means that the boy isn't touching any earth. Like he basically, like the stone is like the wooden bottom of the thing is stopping him. Yeah, you get the impression that he's probably an earthbender, and they wanted to stop him using his abilities.
Can I reach up to the bars of the cage then, and then kind of just ignite a little fire to just not a raging fire, but enough to kind of burn, like compromise the fragility of the wood and kind of pull the wood apart?
You absolutely can, and that's called a roll, and it's called relying on your skills and training. And if you fail, it might be a bit more of an inferno than you were hoping it was.
Classic.
we got a fire extinguisher up there. It's fine in the form of Kahina.
Hopefully.
It's good. Sorry, what do I roll with for this? Skills and
training. So this is with focus, or if you'd like, you can mark one fatigue and roll with one of your principles.
I've got +1 to focus. Oh, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling sassy.
Yeah, roll it.
Oh, I rolled an 11 plus 1 is 12. Oh!
Very good.
So yeah,
Very
you
nice.
get absolutely what you want. So with a kind of surge of flames, Melee, you manage to just burst and like burn through enough of these kind of bars that you can just with an elbow, and they fall in. The boy kind of is like, "Hey, thanks, we gotta get out of here though, quick. There's more of them elsewhere in the village. You guys should follow me, come with me." And he's gonna leap down, and when he kind of touches his feet to the stone, he's wearing boots, but he reaches down and with his hand, he kind of presses against the stone, and the floor underneath where the Fire Nation soldiers raises them up and presses them up against the ceiling of the barn. Like he kind of like lifts them all up and kind of pins them in place. He's like, "Come on, we gotta hurry." come on, my name's Lopen. And he's like gesturing. He's like, follow me. There's a wagon. Let's steal that wagon. Yeah.
Armadillo horse.
Armadillo horse. And he's like running. But you can see 2 guards are about to like turn in and come in from that way. As he's rushing towards it. But yeah, he's free. He seems willing to certainly help you guys, but the rest of you see, I'd probably say Dawa, Baya, Reng, and Kahina, you guys see the 2 other guards kind of turning to come in. What do you guys want to do?
Can I try and freeze their feet in place so they can't
absolutely.
run?
Sure, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely, you can do that.
I want to try and do that.
Sure. Rely on your skills and training. Focus.
It's a 4.
It's a 4.
No.
So you try and create like you try and kind of like freeze the floor around their feet, but the water spreads out a little bit more than you expected. I'm gonna have you guys be impaired as like the floor whoosh, turns to a slick ice, and like whoa, you're all now struggling to kind of keep your balance as the floor just becomes a bit too slippery to make your escape. And these guys, you know, they're also impaired, but they're not frozen in place. They're not like limited in their movement.
Sorry.
No? Okay. Well, in that case, I think that who have we got inside the barn? Because we have Dawa, Baya, and Reng are all outside. So you've seen the big bowling ball of people go rushing in. You see Melee hop down, release the guy. You see all of this take place, but you're a little bit outside. We have Melee, Kahina, and Lopen, the young boy.
Technically, am I still on the roof?
You are technically still on the roof, yeah, in fact. So, yeah, you're currently up there. In even better, in that case, Melee, these 2 guards are going to try and run in and grab you and this boy. Like, they're like, hey, what are you doing? And they're like, get them! And they're going to kind of rush in here. So, I'm going to make this a combat exchange.
Yeah, I'm feeling combat-y.
Sure. So
Okay.
it's going to be the same thing for you. All the NPCs are going to pick in private. I'm going to also have the boy will also get to. Well, actually, he'll be part of it, but he's his combat is. I don't want to necessarily roll for him, so he actually I don't need to. He can still pick a technique, so he will be part of it.
Okay.
So you pick one of the combat approaches.
Mm-hmm.
I have picked mine.
I have picked mine as well.
Okay, all right. In that case, both of mine will be advancing and attacking. What were you going to be doing? And Lopen is going to be evade and observing.
Okay. This may have. I may have ruined it, but I have a special ability called Tag Team, which is advanced and attack. And
Okay.
it's working with an ally against the same foe. Choose an engaged foe and an ally. Double any fatigue conditions or balance shifts that the ally inflicts upon that foe. But I just wonder if he's chosen evade.
He has chosen evade, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that you can still
Sure.
cause things like fatigue and stuff like that. So it still comes into a play.
Yeah. Would that mean then that my special ability just can I like not use it then, or
You don't. So here's the thing:
right,
you
so-
don't pick the technique. You pick the approach, and then you roll, and then you pick which techniques you want to use. So if you think that like he's picked evade, I probably can't use tag team here. You could just choose to strike or pressure or smash or do one of the other basic techniques from advance and attack, right? Like you might even be able to do both.
Yeah.
Like you might get high enough that you can pick two approaches. Luckily, you're the first one to go because you and the enemies all picked advance and attack. Players always win ties, so you get to go. So the first thing you got to do is roll with passion.
Okay. Roll with passion. I've got the wrong window up. There we go. So I rolled a 9 plus 2 because I'm plus 2 passion.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
9, 10, 11.
So-
pretty big.
On a 10, you get to pick 2 of your techniques, which can include your special playbook one, but they must be from the advance and attack section. So you get to pick 2 of them. So you have strike, pressure, and smash.
So
They'll do different things.
I'm wondering actually, can I pick strike and smash, and can I strike a foe, smashing them into a part of the building to knock, destabilize it and knock the other one?
Yeah, Yeah, that sounds perfect. That literally is exactly the kind of narrative that this situation creates. But what does that look like? Like, what is this, like a big kind of blast of fire that like knocks one of them back into like the wall of this warehouse? Is this like, what is this, like a cool flame sword, and you cause them to like slip? You know, what does this look like?
So, kind of drawing on Mei's opera theatre background, she's very kind of like that wire-fu style of fighting. So very fluid, very aerial. So I imagine as they're sprinting towards the exit, she sees these two bad guys and immediately kind of like leaps up and then brings out this kind of almost like a whip with a kind of pointed end. So I guess if you've seen, like, there's a weapon that's sort of like a whip sword almost. I guess probably Scorpion
Ivy
from
and
Mortal
Soul
Kombat.
Calibur has one and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah. So this kind of like whip of flame just comes lashing out, you know, strikes one of the guards, and it curls around his ankle, flick it back up, and he goes flying into this beam of the warehouse, which knocks, like, if you imagine like a second level, knocks crates off of the top onto the second guard.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's exactly what happens. So for a strike, so your strike is strike a foe in reach, forcing them to mark 2 fatigue, mark a condition, or shift their balance away from the center. Or you can mark 1 fatigue to choose one of those. You can choose to do fatigue or a condition instead. So you can either let them choose, or you can mark 1 fatigue to make sure you get the one you want. I should point out that, like, basic bad guys like this, they have about 3 fatigue at best. Groups of soldiers, if they were in bigger numbers, would get more hit points, fatigue, and they can generally do more cool stuff. Unique enemies will have more fatigue, and they can do cool things as well. But these guys are just like guards. They're just normal guards, right? So it's up to you. What do you want to do? Do you want to let them pick, or do you want to...
I'll let you pick.
Sure. They don't really have, like, they've got like 1 point of, I'm not going to shift their balance because that's lame. I think that, yeah, like, you grab this guy. I'm not going to mark fatigue. I'm going to make him afraid. So you grab him and you hear like a, oh god, and you like fling him up into the air. He smashes his like back against one of these beams, and then we'll have the smash take place. So you mark 1 fatigue to destroy or destabilize something in the environment, possibly inflicting or overcoming a fictionally appropriate positive or negative status. So yeah, these guys are already a little bit impaired and stuff like that as well. So if you wanted to, I think that this could easily be a stunned, like you could literally like drop like a giant beam onto this other guy and completely stun him, right, and just knock him out, or like, you know, knock him for a moment as he stumbles around, as his buddy is like just being thrown around the room by a fire whip.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Cool.
That's how I envisage it, yeah.
Perfect. That's exactly what happens. We see all that kind of take place. These 2 guards are basically taken out of the exchange. Like, at this point, you're going to easily be able to run past them. You can easily just get yourself to the wagon now. As the rest of them are all kind of like panicking, you can hear the kind of shouts from, you know, maybe an officer up above who you can see gouts of flame. He's trying to get away from this giant pillar of stone that he's been pinned by, and he's actually trying to like break through the roof. Like, you can hear like gouts of flame, clearly a firebender, like trying to burn through it. So you and Lopen, this Earth Nation boy, you make it out to the armadillo horse wagon. Gehenna and the others, what about you guys? What do you guys want to do at this point? So you've just seen like Melee kind of dash through and do this cool move.
Well, where are we right now, Bayer? We've seen the netted ball of people.
I think we're like an alleyway away, right?
Yeah.
They just slid down this entire alleyway like a bowling lane, and through the doors.
I'm debating whether this is the breaking moment of following Bayer or just rushing to the aid of someone else and trusting elsewhere. I think I'm going to rush to the aid of everyone at the place. at the other place. My brain is fried at the moment.
It's okay, dude. It's fine. Don't worry. In that case, I would say
gone.
save the shifting your balance thing for now. Like, this is just a roleplay thing, right? Like, you're just like, I'm gonna run to the rest of the group. And again, you guys could just be like, we're just gonna run and get on this wagon and like join the others. Like, you don't have to do anything particular. You can just say like, you know what? Nah, let's just go with those guys. Unless there's something specific you want your character to do, we can just have that happen. So I just want to make sure you guys have that opportunity.
Yeah, it seems like everything's kind of mishapped, but ended up in the right place anyway, and we have the guy in the wagon, so
it's a flashier escape than you were planning, but you have rescued the boy. It's going to be you're going to have a very dramatic escape from this village. That might have,
I'll hop in the wagon
effects.
then.
Okay.
I feel like we're done here, we need to go.
You sprint past, you jump in the back of the wagon. You can see the wagon is loaded with supplies. You don't really have time to check and see what they are, but there's like a big sort of like canvas sheet over a number of supplies and things like that. Reng rushes up. Dower, Bayer, do you guys do the same?
Yeah, I think so. And help anyone onto the wagon. That is a lot of noise.
Yep. Kahina, what about you? You're currently like up in the roof on this window, but you've got a rope. You can easily just slide down and get out if you wanted to. You could even like
I'm probably just gonna do the same thing of heading towards the wagon with everyone else and leaving the city, leaving the village. And as we leave the village, just go, what a tribe.
Yeah, so you kind of do that on the back of the wagon, kicking your feet. You do see that like the commander, a big gout of flame kind of erupts out of the top of the storehouse, the wooden roof, and you do hear shouts and cries as they're trying to rally a force. But this fishing village probably didn't have a big force to come chasing after you, and with the wagon and everything else, you guys just book it out of town.
Well, I will ask in the wagon, that wasn't you, was it, Melee?
Me?
You know, the big
What?
gout of flame? That you didn't do that, did you?
No.
No, it was definitely
not
on the
one,
roof.
You know,
It was the guy.
if it was on the
Nation.
roof, that was not me. If it was in the warehouse, that maybe was me. But the roof is not me.
Whatever.
You said stealthy.
We saved the boy and we're out. We need to focus on that.
You see Lopen looks around, and now with a kind of like realization, he looks at you, Melee, and he's like, wait, you're Fire Nation. What are you doing? Like, why did you help me?
Because it was what was right, my love.
He kind of like
What?
eyes you. He's like,
Not all Fire Nation agree with the act of war.
Hey,
kinda
F guy.
looks-
F guy. Melee's one of
Hey.
the good ones. Don't worry. She's cool.
well, he kind of looks and he's like, you know what, that was pretty awesome what you did back there. Like, yeah, like we need more people like you. We need more people like you fighting up against the Fire Nation, not going just along with what they think. You're awesome. I'm gonna try and shift your balance on this one, Melee. He wants to push you towards confidence. Like he wants to kind of gesture you towards that
Interesting.
confidence of like he kind of is like, I don't know what these guys were doing, but you busted me out of there. Like, you're awesome.
Oh, and
I've
I'm
never
here for it.
said that.
I'm
I've never said that to
100%.
anybody from the Fire Nation before. Like,
Oh, darling, flattery will get you everywhere. But I must say, I wouldn't have been able to do it without my friends here. Kahina was the one who got us in, and my lovely friends Baya, Reng, and Dawa, they were the ones that caused the distraction so that we could get out.
well, that's very nice words, but I'm going to need you to make a roll, Kim, because this is a resist an NPC shifting your balance. So this is just, and I need to check here, this is just 2d6. You don't add a plus or a bonus to this. This is just straight 2d6.
Straight up 2d6. Da, 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 da. 3.
3. So there's something about the way that he's kind of complimenting you and saying, you know, all this stuff and like really kind of complimenting you, but in a sense of like, there's something about this which is not necessarily, it's throwing you off balance. It's like pushing you towards confidence. Like maybe this, like you're like, wow, like this kid, like there's something about this kid that's really hit you, and like, yeah, it is going to shift you 2 points towards confidence on your track. Like he is feeding your ego.
Whoa.
Oh, my ego is pretty massive. I think,
the other one here, though, is that I just read this as well. Sorry, it's also a condition. So as part of this, he's going to shift your balance twice, but you get to pick the condition. So what about this? Like, you have a think of those conditions there, and it might be tricky to find one. So we can have a talk about it.
I have an idea.
Sure.
So I feel like traveling with this lot, like I love them, but they do critique me a lot. Especially in that bio one. They're always kind of like bringing me down a little bit, or being like, oh no,
not a real
the
warrior.
explosions, cry. And kind of, and I think like just having someone like an earthbender, just freely compliment me and be like, that was amazing. That was, that was so good. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That was really good. I was really good at that. Take that, buyer. And I think a tiny bit of me is going to be feel guilty that I'm not pushing the whole, like, it took the team of us to do this a bit more.
Sure.
Like that core of me is like, I did kind of say it, but I didn't really make the case
didn't mean
that
it.
I couldn't have. Yeah. Well, no, I did mean it, but I didn't push it further that it took all of us.
You're like, oh yes, they helped as well.
Point.
Yeah, sure. Well, if you want, it's up to you. It's your choice. So
they're the supporting cast,
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely, all about me. So yeah, I'm gonna take guilty, which is -2 to push your luck and deny a call out.
Sure. Cool. All right.
Which is interesting.
Marvelous. So after kind of like saying that to Melee, Lopen, this kind of earth birth-bending kid looks around. He's like, yeah, no, she's right. Thank you all for getting me out of there. Like, I'm glad that somebody's still got some guts here. Like, not like those cowardly villagers just doing nothing. You guys really save my bacon. Listen, I gotta take you to go meet my crew. Like, there's a bunch of people up in the mountains. They'd want to meet you guys and like and thank you for like rescuing me. Like, I'm one of them. I'm a rebel fighter. I'm a resistance fighter like them. They'll want to know that you saved me. And also, the Fire Nation, they're building a stronghold up ahead. It's across the river, and the stronghold covers the valley. It's huge. They're using prisoners to build it. They've got supplies coming in and out of there, and there's a lot of really powerful firebenders and warriors. But I know a secret way. Around it. I can get us past it easy, no problem. There's a secret route through the mountains. I can take you.
Secret route through the mountains?
Is it a tunnel?
Secret.
Yeah, it's like a little tunnel. It's not like a big tunnel, but like it's like a little hidden tunnel.
Secret tunnel.
In the
Hey,
mountains.
you guys know that song too. I love that song.
I've heard it somewhere.
You're not near.
What?
How does it end?
You're not near Makapu, are you?
Yeah, that's where we're based in Makapu Village. Yeah, that's where we're all stationed. It's kind of it's kind of like that place. It's like Harbor Town. Some of the villagers think that we shouldn't be getting involved, but we've got a good crew of us there, and there's a supply run. They've been running supplies from this stronghold, and we keep stealing all their supplies and hitting that.
You're gonna be involved whether you like it or not, I'm afraid.
Whoa, what's up, kid?
The Fire Nation are coming to Makapu.
Well, yeah, we know that.
They're gonna set up the volcano.
Big.
What?
Big.
There's a ship en route
man.
right now. We're trying to stop it.
Well, it's a really good thing that you guys got me out of there. Then, like, I gotta take you to meet the others right now. Like, we gotta move. Like, do you know when? Do you know how?
I don't know. It's soon. We don't have a lot of time.
Okay. All right. Well, by morning we'll be coming across the Pauhai River. Once we get across that, I can take you. We can get into the mountains. I think maybe like a day of travel. We might be able to get there. And And as long as we don't get too close to the stronghold either, that place, it's full of fire warriors and fire nation. There's loads. I wish we had time to try and rescue some of the prisoners. Like, they'd be so useful if we need to fight them in the mountains on Mount Makabu. Maybe some of the prisoners from the stronghold would be useful, but we've got to go. We've got to get back to Makabu as soon as possible. All right, well, you guys rest up for a bit. I'll drive the wagon, get us to the river. We might have to leave the wagon behind. There's no bridge for miles. If we need to get across as quickly as possible, we may have to leave the wagon here. But yeah, I said I'm Lopen, right? My name. Or your names?
Lopen. I'm Dawa. I'm an airbender.
I thought. Oh wow. Yeah, I've never met one of you guys before. Like, we've heard stories and stuff. I thought, and he kind of like is about to say, I heard all you guys and then he's like, I heard that there were some problems and you guys aren't around as much anymore.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Okay, shut up, all right? I'm not very good. But, it's okay because, like, my parents all got killed by the Fire Nation too. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Lots of people like us. Oh, that's not okay, is it?
That's no. It's
kind of why we're all here, really. Don't really want that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
hi, I'm Kahina. I'm a waterbender.
Kahina. I kind of picked up on that.
The arrow at
It was you.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry. I could have warned you. You kind of hit the ground. Sorry about that. Just trying to get you to Earth as quick as possible.
If it wasn't for that stupid wooden cage, I could have taken that guy out, and then I could have got myself out. But they knew what they were doing. So, I mean, you two, and he points at Bayer and Reng. He's like, "Well, I know where you guys are from, or I know where you're from." And he points at Bayer like, "It's good to see that you guys have come to help out your brothers and sisters in the Earth Nation."
Yeah, totally not a distraction from getting back home, right, Bayer? But we have to do the right thing.
Not a distraction. No, we're protecting the land and saving everyone from a terrible threat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's just a bit scary, isn't it? We're kind of the volcano's about to erupt, and people could,
Lopen puts a hand on your shoulder. He's like, "It's okay, man. We're gonna stop him."
Yeah. We got this. We've got an airbender. Yeah.
Well, I mean, did they say that it was the Avatar? Are you the Avatar?
No. No. I'm not. No.
Weren't they supposed to be an airbender?
Yeah. They were supposed to do a lot of things. Like help.
Yeah. Oh, would have helped.
Didn't.
Would have helped your guys, right? Like,
I don't know where he is. We needed him.
yeah. Sounds like you need to step up in his place, am I right?
I don't know if we're qualified
Hey.
fully. We did try
Ree.
to use cabbages to distract some people, so
Hey, that was a
And it
perfect.
worked.
Cabbages are a perfect use in distraction forces. Okay, that's a perfectly
still have
legitimate
any?
tactic. No, I'm gonna rule now. No more cabbages.
Out of cabbage.
You
Cabbage
are out
count
of
0.
cabbages.
No.
But
Destroyed my sweet cabbage
before we
son.
keep chatting, like, I think for Dawa, like him kind of saying, like, yeah, where's that guy? Why isn't he helping? Like, you should help. You should take his place. You should do what the Avatar didn't. Like, I think again, he's like trying to kind of push you towards like away from forgiveness, right? Like it's kind of like pushing you to kind of lean on that.
Playing to that anger that's in me at the moment. I'm mad.
I just want to check I'm doing this right as well, because like again, this is very new for us. So, and the balance thing is definitely the one I'm trying to get my head around the most. Yeah, I think maybe it's a case of it should be more as a failure for a role or something like that. Maybe. I just wanted to make sure I'm doing it correctly, because that's the hardest thing.
He's very influential. He's really swaying all of us.
It's hard, man. Like, this game is like so different to what I'm used to because there's like very set ways of things happening.
That's good.
Call someone out. When you resist an NPC shifting your balance, it doesn't really say when that happens. So yeah, okay. Well, just make a roll for me, Ree. It's just a 2d6.
2d6, alrighty.
Yeah.
All right.
Never mind.
Wow.
What are you going to ask? Because it's helpful for
tale
people
of
learning
two
the game
dice.
as well.
I was just going to ask, because I have the guilty condition, which is -2 push your luck and deny a call out. And I'm just wondering, is that -2 to denying a call out, or is that I can deny a call out?
No, that's so deny a call out is a balance move. Is when you deny an NPC calling on you to live up to your principle. So that's like
So me specifically.
Yeah, that's you specifically. And that's more like a like rather than them trying to change you through their words and like trying to get you to like talk, like trying to kind of like encourage you towards thing, that's when an NPC is like, hey, you specifically, you need to be more like this. Like, why aren't you doing that? And then it's a move to basically say, well, actually, I am doing that, or I'm not, I shouldn't do that. It's a specific move kind of thing.
Okay.
But here's the thing, for resisting shifting of balance, on a 10+, you get to choose 2 from this list, Ree. Clear a condition or mark growth by immediately acting to prove them wrong. So a growth is XP, keep in mind as well. Shift your balance towards the opposite principle, or learn what their principle is if they have one. And if you already know, you take a +1 forward against them, which means you get +1 on the next roll whenever you interact with them. And you get to pick 2 of those.
2? Crikey.
So it is on the Roll20, there is a balance reminder if you scroll down a bit, which has got like balance moves. It's off to the side. There you go, Chris. Scrolling around. Is that resisting your balance one?
I don't have a condition, but I could mark
mark growth. You could gain that XP.
Yeah. Shift my balance.
So you could go back the other way. So you could start leaning more towards forgiveness. So like the way that I see this is he's saying this stuff about the Avatar, who you know who the Avatar is. Like we talked about this. You were aware of who they were. You heard about them and stuff like that. And you also know, as the idealist, you kind of know that like there's ways beyond just violence, right? And not just acting out. And although you've been riled up, this could be the moment where you're hearing him call out a fellow monk of the Air Nation. And you could be like, you know what? I don't know the situation. I shouldn't be. I need to try and like get a grip on this. And this could be like the moment where you're like, no, I need to, actually thinking about this, and then think about what maybe you say back to this guy and stuff like that, or what you do, or maybe it's just an internal thing. But
I think I'd do that. I think I'd shift my balance and
then mark growth
and mark a growth. Yeah,
so you get to shift it 2 the other way. You actually get to shift it. Oh no, shift once. You shift it once.
Shift it once.
Cool. So you go towards forgiveness, and then you're going to mark growth. And there's some moment here where you're like, this guy's wrong. Like, I don't agree, or you think that he's incorrect. Lopen isn't, something about what he said makes you go the opposite way. What does that look like?
I think Darwa's gonna sit back a minute and think, and just say, no. What
do you mean?
He'll come back. He will come back.
Oh, it's a bit late. Didn't help your people or mine.
There's still a chance to help everyone. Just because he didn't help my people or your people doesn't mean that there isn't a chance to help later on down the line. It might just not be the right time for him. I don't know. But I can't give up on the Avatar. I can't give up on believing that maybe something will change.
Perfect. I think that Lopen just kind of goes quiet and doesn't really say anything after that, in response. But yeah, it's like a nice little powerful moment of like, yeah, you still believe that this doesn't all have to be war and violence. Like there's still hope, right? Like that this can be resolved. Like it's not all doom and gloom. Cool. I will say this: if you guys want, like, we can just skip ahead to arriving at the river, or you guys, if you want to try and talk to each other for a bit, you absolutely can as well.
I just want to give Dawa a little squeeze, like after that, because obviously Meili and Dawa have been traveling together, and so Meili knows a bit more about Dawa's background. So after seeing her stand up and give that amazing speech, yeah, she's gonna give her a little squeeze and a little hug and be like,
Yeah, Dawa would probably hug. Yeah, she'd hug back Meili and maybe just have a little cry. Just. It's been emotional. It's been a lot.
I think Lopen's like, okay, I feel bad when he hears you crying. He's like, okay, I'm sorry. Cool.
Yeah,
All
just using my robe to dab her tears.
Yeah, sweet, nice little moment. Well, in that case, then we'll you guys have an evening of rest. So as the sun sets, the wagon continues. Sleeping rough, like a night spent under the open sky with rocks for a bed. You can clear 3 fatigue. So you can clear 3 fatigue.
Oh,
nice.
So it's still plenty
rough.
of rest. I think pretty much everybody is completely clear of fatigue. Conditions don't go away. Don't forget, conditions remain.
We have to help.
And your balance
others,
remains
don't we?
as well.
That's one way to clear conditions.
So you can comfort each other. Yeah, you can have like a little moment where you try and encourage each other.
Meili doing that. If you had a fatigue, would that be a comfort for Dawa?
If they had a condition, like, yeah, we could have made that like a role. I felt like that was more of like just a little nice RP moment, not necessarily like a, trying to really comfort and support somebody. It was just like a nice little kind of like, I'm just going to put my arm around her and look after her a bit. The other way that you can clear conditions is there is actually a list of ways that you can clear them. So things like afraid, you have to run from danger or difficulty. Angry, you have to break something important or put others in danger. Foolish, you have to take foolhardy action without talking to your companions. Guilty, make a personal sacrifice, that kind of thing. You have to, like, there's actual ways that you can clear them.
Cool.
But we kind of cut back in as the episode resumes, and Lopen has brought you to a fairly wide-spanning, fast-flowing river. It cuts through, it stretches through like rolling, green, beautiful Earth Kingdom kind of countryside, and he pulls the wagon up, and this is, I mean, looking at it, it's a big river. You're going to need to maybe do some investigation here or like figure out what you want to do, but Lopen just turns around and says, like, I don't think I can take this. I don't think I can get this wagon across here. We need to find a way to cross.
Hey, the water bending ice thing, that was pretty cool. Can you just like make a lot of little foot islands for us to slide across? Just the whole way?
I mean,
just the whole way across the river?
It's
like that?
quite a big river. I don't know if I can do that. And the wagon's pretty heavy. I don't think it'll hold up.
Hey, what if we could just make one little thing, and then we've got a little raft, and then we can airbend our way by gusting it across?
I could try.
Yeah, you can
And
certainly try.
paddle.
And
We can paddle, can't we, Bio?
platform.
We're strong.
Yeah, I can give it a go.
Okay.
Although,
So
strong current.
I mean, you don't know. The current might be strong. It looks fast, but you don't know. You can try and... Do you want to go and check it out? Do you want to, like, take a better look at this river? Or are you just going to be like, nope, let's go?
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, I mean, I if I'm thinking about the current and I'm thinking we're going to make an ice raft and just glide across the river easily, I think I'll check it out and just make sure it's not going to be just we make an ice raft and it immediately goes down some rapids and smashes against a rock or something.
Well, that's going to be an assessor situation, so this is with creativity.
Creativity +0. It's not amazing.
I
However,
forgot, actually.
I rolled an 11.
Oh.
You rolled an 11. Perfect. So one thing I forgot previously when we used to assess the situation, by the way, is you take +1 ongoing, which means that you constantly get a +1 as long as the scenario applies to the answer to the question. So when you guys were like, no, I didn't really come up when you guys were trying to escape or like sneak in, but you should have had the +1 for like those things. So like the climbing up the tower should have been at +1 and stuff like that. Well, Tom, with a 10+, you get to ask 2 questions from the list, and if you check on Roll20, there is a handout for the questions there.
I mean, one of the questions was
it's in the handout
going to be, is this river way too fast? In the basic moves reminder?
Basic moves reminder. So assess the situation. So that could be a who or what is the biggest threat. Like that could definitely be a question. Like what's the biggest threat to trying to cross this river? What should I be on the lookout for? That's another good one, maybe.
Yeah, I think. What should I be on the lookout for? Because, are there any rocks in the middle here that are just going to completely shatter the ice raft? And also, I guess, what is the greatest danger? I feel like it's the same question, really. So
no, because what should I be on the lookout for could be useful. It could be a helpful thing.
Oh, I see. Okay. In that case, what should I be on the lookout for, and what is the greatest danger?
Yeah, I think with those combined things, like what I should be on the lookout for is like, what are things that could help us, right? And across the way, there is like, if you move a little bit downriver, you kind of look it out, there is a kind of like some small trees on the other side of the river. If you could maybe find a way to use those as a tether, like maybe like throw like a rope or like hook something into it, that might give you an extra kind of bit of purchase to try and float like a raft or something over across. In terms of the greatest danger, this river is moving very, very fast, and as it gets closer to the sea, the area becomes a lot more rocky and craggy and breaks off, and there's some pretty big dips, falls, like flows down towards the sea. Those are definitely going to be the big risk. If you fall off the raft, you're going to very swiftly get carried away by this fast moving current, and you might get bashed along the rocks. Probably nothing lethal or like super dangerous, but it's going to cost you time and energy for sure.
Okay.
Appa is not here.
In terms of equipment,
he's a mouse pointer.
Rope?
I don't believe that you had time to grab things like rope. You didn't really grab any supplies before you were leaving Merchant's Pier. You didn't grab any supplies in Harbour Town. You had food and you got on your way, and cabbages. That was it.
We do have a wagon. I will have a little skim through the wagon. I'll communicate the rope over there. That's the tree over there. Sorry, we'll need to latch onto that somehow, and that'll be the best way across. I'll have a look through the wagon, see if there's something like that. Maybe there's a load of sacks.
You pull the canvas off the back of this wagon that you've been traveling in. There's definitely stuff you can use here. There's building supplies. There's like wooden planks and ropes and thick kind of like jugs of tar.
Build a whole bridge.
There's also weapons here, specifically bows and arrows. There's like 10 or 20 bows and a load of arrows as well. And then building supplies, hammers, nails, bits of rope, wooden planks, all sorts of stuff.
Cool. I mean, bow and arrow.
Are there any?
That's kind of cool.
Though
there are not any cabbages.
Damn it.
I think cabbages are banned. So
no.
I'll grab those ropes and maybe I'll take a bow for myself. Why not?
Sure. Yeah, you can take it's like those Japanese style bows, so it's like the really long on top, like with the long arrows that you kind of draw back on the proper kind of Japanese archery style.
Cool. I'll try and latch a rope onto the other side. I guess I want to put something on the other end so that I make some kind of knot in the thing. Sorry?
I can jump across.
And
hold the rope. I can try.
You can certainly try.
You can certainly try. In that case, jump. Far.
So, but okay. So, Dawa, are you going to try and jump across this pretty wide river? Like, how does this look like? Like, is this just a jump, or are you going to try and like airbend?
I'm gonna try and get a
blast yourself
speedy
across?
run up. Try and get a
Yeah.
speedy run up, and then launch myself over, and then try and push air behind me to give myself a little boost over the other side of the river.
Yeah,
with the rope,
I think that this falls
the
into
other side of the
relying on your
rope.
skills and training. This is very airbendy. So yeah, go for it. Like we see a big jet of air kind of from behind you. I think also, like you, Meili, and Kahina are the only ones who could try this. Like the two non-benders, if they were like, "I'm gonna jump the river," I'd be like, "No, you fail." Like, but you guys actually get to try the role because you have ways of doing this, right?
Yeah,
The
I mean,
others
if
just
anyone
be
can,
like,
it's the airbender.
yeah, it's where like bending is
launching their
actually
way.
like super relevant because although it's very creative the way that you use it, there are just going to be times where it's just like, yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm just a bit worried because I've already had my 2 6s, so this can either go kind of well or terrible. Kind of well.
Not bad.
However,
Total.
Oh
This
my
is
gosh.
with focus.
With focus, -1, that's a 9.
Okay, so it's a 9. So you do it imperfectly. The GM tells you how your approach might lead to unexpected consequences. Accept those consequences or mark 1 fatigue. What are the consequences here? If you guys have any ideas, do shout out because I can't always think of anything super clever. So you get it, but you do it imperfectly. So is this a case of like you get across, you're carrying the rope? Is this like you bash your head on the tree, or is this like?
wow.
Yeah, I feel like this is the first
Maybe
time
the-
Dawa's done something like this in a long time. Like
Yeah.
or since the stuff in the temple happened. Because she's been struggling to get herself off the ground.
Okay,
Literally.
no, I've got it right. So this is the
Yeah.
first time you've really because up until now you've really been struggling like those tethers, the things that you were looking into before when you left the air temple, because we know the things that you were researching and that you wanted to develop into. You felt really detached from, and you found that it was really hard to kind of lift yourself off the ground anymore. That conversation last night with Lopen and the events that have all taken place and with your friends and everything else, for the first time, like you jump and you go higher than you were expecting. Like you will watch as Dawa launches herself like a little rocket and she goes way too high. And you suddenly realize, Dawa, you're like trying to airbend again to like slow your landing. And it's like, oh, and you kind of hit the ground hard as like you try and air blast to like stop yourself, but it doesn't really work. Like you had like a big launch up, but then no controlled descent, and so you just kind of go boom, 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 boom. And just mark 2 for just mark a fatigue. I think.
Okay.
I don't think that there's going to be any extra consequences here. It's either have a consequence or mark fatigue. I think just mark 1 fatigue as you kind of go like boom, 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 and you roll in the grass and kind of come
Like Scorpion, like my face like in the ground, like
An inverted capital C.
Yeah. Little birds kind of little apples flying around your head kind of thing. Yeah. Sky bisons. But you do land on the other side.
I did it!
The rope
You
is
see
like
it
at
it
this
hurt.
point it's pretty tight. Like you're like holding the rope like she's at the other end and like this is like there's no slack on this rope now.
You
I
did
like
it.
try and hide like around a tree.
Brava.
The other thing is I could have had
Brava.
Baya go flying like Baya like almost gets tugged into the river from the
Yeah.
other side.
I was
but
thinking
think this is
that,
better.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking that I get pulled into the river and then start going downstream myself.
Yeah. No, but I think this works because it ties into Dawa's backstory that Rianne was telling me about. So I think this works quite well. Cool. So
you
yeah,
want
you
it to be a
tie the
rocket
rope
man?
around the tree, Dawa, and
Yeah.
you now have like a guide rope. So like even if like you have something to like latch and pull onto, basically.
Cool.
So you really just need something to like float on, or just make it across, really, which you can probably easily do. I don't even think this needs to be a roll now.
I click and double point at Kahina, and then at the water, and then at Kahina again.
Yes. Okay. And I will create a large platform of ice.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make you roll for that because you've got the time to just focus and create this kind of platform of ice.
Nice.
Awesome.
All right.
Sweet.
So you guys all
Just
kind of
how I
over it.
imagined it.
You leave the wagon behind. You clamber aboard the little ice raft, and with
Whoa.
Baya and Reng, you kind of holding the rope and pulling it, while the others kind of anchor in place. And with Lopen, you kind of use this to cross the river and just easily get across to the other side. Lopen just gestures like, it's a shame we have to leave all those weapons and stuff, but hopefully this will at least slow down any of them chasing us from Harbour Town. I can't imagine that they're going to let us just walk away, but this way, the mountains aren't too far from here.
Nice.
Yeah, he's gonna lead you on.
Can we cut
He
the rope
does have
behind us, or take the rope with us? Actually, just
Yeah,
take
sure.
the
Yeah,
rope.
you can take that with you.
Could
Yeah,
be
yeah.
useful. Could be useful.
You have a piece of rope.
Slow him down.
Excellent.
Easy. Yeah. Lopen leads you again for a few more hours, like you're kind of traveling, hiking across this countryside. But eventually you begin to see that the terrain becomes much more rocky. And you can actually see in the distance, not erupting or anything like that, but you can see a giant mountain, which must be Makapu, the volcano. At the base of a valley that begins to lead into the mountains, Lopen keeps you at a distance, but you see a stronghold being constructed, a fortress. You can see great metal walls built onto stone and wooden foundations. Big metal plates being embedded into it to make it impervious to earthbending. You can see towers, guard towers being constructed, all still being worked on. And you can see dozens of prisoners in like ragged clothing with mining pickaxes and bricks and hammers and mortar, all kind of in the construction of this. And Lopen kind of points at it. It's just like, they're calling it Pow High Stronghold. Apparently it's going to fortify the area here. Oh, man, I wish we had the time to try and take it down, but... and he gestures, and you can see that they're actually digging these giant kind of moats around it as well. So these giant moats, it almost looks like the moats are shaped so that if something came down the mountains, it would fill these giant moats around the stronghold as well.
Ooh.
What could that be?
Yeah, what could they be expecting? Yeah. Lopen gestures is like, we need to try and stay as far away from that as possible, but it's going to slow us down a little bit. We'll need to take the long way around. It's much more... They've finished a lot more of it than I was expecting. Those guard towers are all new, and you can see that there is a couple of archers. They're the same long bows that you saw in the wagon. These archers have like got them at the ready, and they're kind of just watching out. Big, intimidating helms with like the little eye sockets and the big sort of like pointed helmets, watching from these strong towers, from these stronghold watchtowers.
Okay, well, I mean, the fortress will be pointless if the volcano never erupts. They're expecting to be empowered by this thing. We need to stop it. So
Yeah. We can't let these guys
no point
intimidate
going
us.
anywhere near it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's go.
We can come back.
Lopen.
This is a problem we can solve after we deal with that.
Yeah.
The big
Exactly.
exploding
Exactly.
problem.
All right, come on, this way. I'll take you to the secret tunnel and into Makapu. For the sake of speed, because we do have to wrap things up, Lopen leads you to a small village within Mount Makapu. But as you are about to kind of like approach it, and he's kind of going to find the resistance members, all of you see a new sight. You kind of see it glimpse through these gaps in the kind of valley where the village is hidden. You see a kind of giant balloon device with a kind of floating, almost like a ship attached to a giant hot air balloon, is basically beginning to descend on the mountainside, and you can see it bears the Fire Nation symbols and the Fire Nation soldiers on board, and you see tiny little figures moving around, and this is you see them landing on the far side near the mountain crater. Lopen returns and says he basically has gathered up several warriors from the resistance ready to go up there with you, but they're gonna, he needs to get them all together, and it's going to take them some time. So he's basically, and you should go on ahead, try and see if you can cut them off or stop whatever they're trying to do. You said that they had like some bombs or something like that. Maybe try and stop those, and then we'll bring some reinforcements as soon as we can.
All right. This is the final push. We got to go now.
Let's get those firebenders. Let's go.
Yeah, maybe not air jump. Maybe just regular climbing for now.
Yeah.
It did look really cool when you were at the top.
It was very
height,
cool.
though.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I was so proud of you. So
Thank
proud.
you. I finally did it. I nearly flew. I was so close. Oh, just need to practice more.
Bravo.
Well, we can
Bravo.
practice after we've saved everybody from an erupting volcano.
So, you can have this conversation as you're making your way up.
Yeah.
Lopen kind of points you to channels, and you begin making your way up. Now, obviously, an active volcano is in real life. You will be incinerated if you get too close to like active lava and things like that. Luckily, you don't need to go all the way, or maybe you will need to go up to the crater, but as you begin making your way, you can see that there are groups of Fire Nation soldiers in armor with weapons. Some of them do look like firebenders, and they are planting these big metal spheres into the rock, and you can see that they are using their firebending to superheat the metal and set it into the rock itself. As you are making your way up, you can see that there's maybe a group of like five of these like firebenders working with the explosives, and then there's a group of about 5 soldiers roaming around with them as well. The airship-like device is kind of anchored in place by a big long chain, and there's a rope ladder kind of hanging down from it. And as you guys, you see this, you're kind of like hiding in the rocks. There's not really any way to approach them without being seen. Like you can hide for now, but the second you kind of like spring up, you're going to be visible to these guys and everybody around it. You don't see any kind of like authority figure at the moment. You just see these kind of like squads of firebenders and the soldiers.
That's a lot of
Firebenders are wearing
people.
like long robes rather than armor.
How are we going to do this?
Well, we stand out pretty obviously right now. Me in my armor, you all dressed like you're dressed. We're not going to get close to that thing unless we, I don't know, grab some disguises from somewhere. Maybe wear their armor, or I don't know.
I don't see
It's
us
a good
doing
idea,
that.
but where are we going to get them from? I don't see any barracks or anything like that unless we knock someone out and strip them down.
I feel like they're all going to see us do that. That's the problem.
Hmm.
Do we attack that chain? Send the airship flying away from the volcano?
Well,
could.
It's a
That
big
could be a
chain.
distraction.
But I reckon all your powers combined, you could do this.
Well, whoever wants to do that will need to sneak round to it. So they'd actually need to kind of like sneak around through the mountain, you know, cover to cover, moving through the rocks and things like that. But you could certainly send someone to try and do that.
Hey, Lopen.
Lopen's not with you yet. Lopen's going to be coming
Damn
with
it.
you.
He's going to get reinforcements.
Yeah, he's bringing reinforcements in a minute, but you're not sure if you've got time. Like, as you guys are kind of debating, by the way, Kahina especially, this is important to you. The Fire Nation, the Firebenders kind of look up and they call over, and you hear them like, "Mercenary, time to do your job." And coming from sort of like a secluded area, you see this great hulking figure, and this black volcanic armor begins to kind of like, and this giant figure kind of. Need my help again, puny firebenders. The Onyx Juggernaut shall deliver your little weapon. And you begin to see the earth kind of bending around as he reaches a fist into the earth, and that metal sphere begins sinking down into the ground like. And it is the Onyx Juggernaut.
There he is. We need to take him out.
Let's do it.
If he finishes putting that, it's too late. He's sinking it into the ground. We have to stop him. Should
That's
I just
your
go for
rival,
it?
right?
He's
Well,
yeah. He's horrible. He's the one who attacked my village.
Then let's take
He's
him
the one
down.
that needs to. Yeah.
Let's teach him a lesson.
How? Do I just go for it? Last time
Yeah,
he kicked my
yeah.
butt.
Let's all go together.
Fight as one.
all right. In that case. Well, I think that's going to be the point. You guys come springing up from these kind of like volcanic channels and like these kind of little pieces of rock that you've been hiding under. And yeah, there's a quick shout from some of the soldiers. You can see some archers and swordsmen as they kind of point over. The airbenders kind of whip their heads around. They're just like, it is them, the ones that the Admiral warned us about. Deal with them. And they are going to sprint out. The Juggernaut stops what he's doing and looks over. Well, if it isn't the ones who got away, let's finish this. And we're going to go into some combat exchanges here. Now, there are 3 enemies. There's 3 groups. So you have a group of firebenders, a group of elite soldiers, and the Onyx Juggernaut.
Okay.
One thing I'm going to say, melee, as you are this close to the volcano, any move that involves your firebending, give yourself a +1 to, because all the kind of ambient heat, you can actually feel that that's fueling your firebending powers. It's one of the reasons that they want to set off the volcano. But you have a feeling that those enemy firebenders are going to get the same benefit. They're going to be more powerful to deal with. In the combat exchange, we've done this before, but this is a case of everybody is going to pick what they would like to do. I am making my choices now. There's still a little bit of distance between you guys. So if you want to kind of like, you might need to do some Caesar positions and stuff like that to kind of get close, in particular towards the Onyx Juggernaut. But yeah. So you guys have a think about this. Think as well, like, what targets you're going to go for here. Things like Caesar position, you can use it to engage it, like, or they might use it to try and engage you and stop you getting where you want to go, right? So have a think about that.
Got it locked in.
Yep, I've got my move.
Yep.
Everyone got an approach. So you pick an approach, Katie, and then you'll decide which techniques you want to use when it comes up. You got one?
I think so.
All right. Let's reveal. So you guys, let's start with Rhiannon. What approach are you taking in this combat exchange?
Defend and maneuver.
Defend and maneuver. Okay. Bayer, Tom.
I am also doing defend and maneuver.
Okay. Melee.
Advance and attack.
Advance and attack. Rang.
Defend and maneuver.
All right. Kahina.
Advance and attack.
Okay. In terms of the enemy positions, the elite soldiers are going to defend and maneuver. The firebenders are going to evade and observe for now. And the Onyx Juggernaut is going to advance and attack. He coming. So the players, so we have Dawa, Bayer, and I believe it was Reng are all on defend and maneuver. You guys are going to go first, and then the elite soldiers are going to do the same thing. So you guys get to pick. You guys can decide who wants to go where. Who goes first?
I was going to seize the position and try and go towards the chain and act upon anyone.
Well, you got to roll first.
Okay.
Sure. So let's have a roll first then from Reng. So this is with focus.
All right. It's +2.
That's good.
That's 14, 2 6s.
Holy moly!
Oh, man.
Well,
It's a
so
double
you get to pick
6.
2 double 6. Unfortunately, it's a 10 plus. You get to pick 2 of the techniques, either your playbook one or 2 of the ones listed there.
I'm absolutely going to seize a position. So any guard that's in the way of us getting towards that chain of the airship, that's my focus.
So do you want to move up and engage that group of elite soldiers that's coming?
That's in the way.
So that, okay, all right, yeah.
And then retaliate. So I'll be fighting back.
So you're kind of like defending yourself and fighting defensively. Okay, cool. What about Bayer?
So I am, I'm also doing a defend and attack.
Defend and maneuver.
I've got a +3. That one, defend and maneuver. +3 for focus. It's a 9.
Okay. It's a 9. You get to pick one.
Can I pick my
or your
mastered
special
one
playbook
as well?
Yeah, that's so. It's masters. Yeah, if it's mastered, you can use it.
So I have Wall of Perfection. I can create a perfect wall of defense around myself and any allies directly next to me. I feel like we're all kind of moving up.
Everybody but Reng. Reng is now
unit.
moved off, so Reng is no longer there.
Okay. I get to
moved to
mark
engage
1
them,
fatigue
'cause he
to
seized the
block
position.
a single attack towards the wall. So a single attack towards anyone against anyone but Reng now.
Yeah. Or
will be
if
blocked.
Dawa moves away, but it sounds like you're definitely going to be able to protect Kahina yourself and melee for sure. Unless depending on what Dawa does.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
That's me.
Cool. All All right, Dawa, same thing to you. Roll with focus and then pick a technique.
Okay, dokie. 6.
So you got a -1.
Yep.
Okay, so on a miss, you stumble, but you can shift your balance away from center to use one basic technique. So you can actually shift your balance one to still do a technique here. Or you can just be like caught up and be like, oh, I don't know what to do.
I don't want to shift my balance because I've kind of moved it back, so I think I might dither a little bit and be like,
fine.
looking at the metal sphere sinking into the ground, and then looking at Reng sprinting off, and then Onyx juggling.
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of see like a moment of panic, right? The elite soldiers are currently engaged with their foe. So Reng has moved to engage them. So they were going to use a basic technique, and they are going to engage, disengage with the foe, overcome a negative status or danger, establish an advantageous position. Well, they're not going to do that. I think that they are going to ready themselves. So I'm going to mark 1 fatigue on these guys. To ready themselves or your environment, assigning a fictionally appropriate status to nearby foes. So I think, Reng, rather than just directly attacking you, they surround you. So they all bring out weapons, and they have completely surrounded you and cut you off from your allies, right, at this point. So you are now fighting on your own, and they're going to give you the impaired condition. Okay. So you are slowed or off balance. You can either mark 1 fatigue or take a -2 to all physical actions. So they're kind of like not directly attacking you, but trying to like trip you up, and they're trying to like knock you on the ground and things like that. And you're having to fend them off.
I think I'll take the fatigue.
Sure. Okay. So mark 1 fatigue then. Done. For you. Cool. And then that's them. That's just those bad guys just get to use 1 attack. We then move to the advance and attackers, which players go first. So Melee and Kahina, you guys get to decide why you want to do.
Why want?
Well, I was going to use... Yeah, I'm going to use my tag team ability, because I feel like given last episode, Melee kind of gave Kahina a bit of a pep talk about how they would fight together this time. I think this is a perfect opportunity to use tag team to help her out. So I will defer to Kahina to start the charge.
Sure. All right, Kahina, go for it. So with passion, so you roll with passion to start with on advance and attack.
Yeah, so Kahina's just really freaking mad. She's really mad at him. So she is going to conjure. I think she'll probably keep distance from him because he's huge, but she will conjure her ice spear and just thrust it forward right at him.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
5. Whoa, that rolled off the desk. I rolled 2 5s, so a 10 plus 2, which is 12 for my passion.
So on 12 on combat, so you get to pick 2. You get to pick 2 techniques, including your special one. So you can pick one of the 3 there, or your special one, and you get to do 2 of them.
So I think she will. One of them will be pressure, so impress or intimidate a foe. So
you choose an approach. Your foe cannot choose that approach in the next exchange. So what one do you want to deny the Juggernaut?
Is that like the strike, pressure, smash type?
No, that's like advance and attack, defend and maneuver, evade and serve. You basically stop him using one of those.
I'll deny him an advance and attack.
Okay, so that's on the next exchange, though. So, so what this looks like is like you kind of, I imagine, like throwing these ice spears, like consistently, like you're just peppering him with like these summoned like ice things, constantly pulling out water and like returning it back to your hands and stuff like that as it turns to like steam from the ambient heat around you, and it's causing him to like throw his hands up and like not be able to like fully pressure himself, fully advance just in the next sequence of attacks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then you get to do another one.
Strike, please. for the other one.
Okay, so strike a foe in reach, forcing them to mark 2 fatigue, mark a condition, or shift their balance away from center. Mark 1 fatigue to instead choose to hammer them with your blows, forcing them to mark 2 fatigue or a condition. So you can spend a fatigue to basically force me to do one, or I get to pick one.
I'll spend a fatigue.
Sure. And what would you like to do? Inflict a condition or cause fatigue?
I will cause... Insecure.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So he's got -2 on relying on his skills and training.
Yeah, that doesn't come as much into an effect in an exchange, but the thing with marking conditions is if you mark all of his conditions, and he runs out of fatigue, he's out of the fight, basically. So you need to kind of, like, cause him all these things. So as you're, like, causing these blows, he's, like, grunting, and you can hear him, like, and he's, like, seems to be getting frustrated, but in a kind of, he's beginning to doubt himself. Like, you obviously don't see this, but we kind of like, hey, stop that, like, as he's kind of blocking these strikes and things like that as you do so. Okay, so that was Kahina, and then we go to Melee. So you've kind of got him on the defensive,
Okay.
Kahina. You're like throwing these ice spears and like summoning ice back.
So taking the lead from Kahina, I will once again use my kind of flip. I love this move in martial arts where you do like that kind of like you jump and then like bring your heel down, like kind of not a scissor kick, but kind of, oh, I love it, like a flying roundhouse, basically. Yeah. And
kick.
yeah, Flame will just like lash out and kind of almost complement Kahina's like ice spears, kind of like where her ice spears aren't. That's where I'm going to be lashing out with the fire.
Fire and ice combo.
So
Love it.
Yeah. So I guess I need to roll and then.
So this is roll with passion, and then you get to pick how many techniques you do. Axe
Okay,
kick.
and does the firebending come into this as well?
So you get a +1. Yep.
Okay.
Ooh.
Did that roll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did. Yeah, you got a 10.
Oh, I didn't roll down. I rolled 10. So normally I have a -1 to passion, but I have a +1 from firebending, so that's just a flat
So
10.
it's a 0, so it's just a straight 10, which means you get 2
Just
techniques.
straight 10.
So from advanced attack or your personal playbook.
So I will use tag team. So work with an ally against the same foe. Choose an engaged foe and ally. Double any fatigue, conditions, or balance shifts that the ally inflicts upon that foe. So everything that Kahina just inflicted, it's double.
Yeah, I guess it would be retroactive. Yeah, we'll say it's retroactive for now. So you, what's another condition, Kahina, that you wanted to pick? I mean, for me, angry would make sense. Like you're kind of pissing him off, like with these like long-ranged attacks.
Yeah, probably.
Like he's getting kind of annoyed that you're like it's bothering him, and he's getting frustrated that he's doubting. There's an element of doubt. I think
Sure.
makes sense.
Let's go with angry.
Cool.
Make him angry.
I'm not sure if that can be retroactive,
then-
but for the sake of play, I'm going to say it is. And then you get another one.
So I would like to use strike, and I'm gonna, let's see, forcing them to mark 2 fatigue. So if I take 1 fatigue, I can force them to take 2 fatigue, right? I can choose
Yes.
which thing they take.
Yes, you choose which one. Yep.
Okay. I will take 1 fatigue, and I will force him to take 2 fatigue, if that makes sense.
Yeah, cool. So like this onslaught of attacks, like you're hammering the Onyx Juggernaut with these fire and ice, kind of setting him off balance and things like that. As you do so, I'm going to have the Onyx Juggernaut use his attack and advance this time.
Uh-oh.
And his current principal score it's only 0, so he only gets one technique for now. But that technique I'm going to use is Smash. And what he does is he can't do this next turn because of the kind of pressure from Kahina. But as you're kind of peppering him, he crouches down, like almost looks like he's kind of like protecting himself, like curling up into a ball. And then he slams a fist into the volcanic rock, and a big kind of cracking quake. And I'm going to destabilize the environment, inflicting the doomed status upon Kahina and Melee, as he creates a big like he's opening up lava flows beneath you, and like you kind of like you guys fall down, like you're holding onto rocks and things like that, as like this big bubbling pool of lava is opened up below you. The doomed status: you're in grave danger. Mark 1 fatigue every few seconds or each exchange until you free yourself. So you guys have currently been like dropped down into this thing. Tom Hazel,
you're muted.
You are muted.
What about my perfect wall of defense?
Well, so this is just you block an attack, right?
Is that not an attack?
What does it say? Read it out for me.
I create a perfect wall of defense around myself and any allies directly next to me. Mark 1 fatigue to block a single attack towards the wall, which I've made, and keep an enemy at bay who tries to penetrate the wall. I mean,
I would say that, yeah, you can mark a fatigue here, but what does that look like? How do you stop this kind of like breaking the ground underneath your friends? Like, what does this look like? How do you stop them from falling into this pit? Because I'm still going to say he still does the earth bending. You can't stop him doing that. But what you can stop is it affecting your pals.
I cannot stop him tearing the earth asunder, because I'm just a Kyoshi warrior and he's an earthbender. However, I mean, I feel like it's literally just moving them out of the way of it. Like, I'm watching him do all these movements and being trained in all these dance-like motions and movements. I'm watching him make his movements, and I can just see him pound the ground. I know exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, so like you reach out, you like grab Kahina, you like pull her out of the way. Maybe you throw your fan, and that like digs into the wall of the crater that's opened up, and Melee like is standing on it, and that gives you enough time to grab her as well. Like as you kind of like throw this like metal fan, is like almost like a stepping point so that she doesn't fall, and then you pull it free, using like martial arts to kind of like throw them around and keep them out of this chasm, basically.
Yeah, almost like my movements happen before like the situation even becomes a thing.
Yeah.
So the stepping stones are already there for them.
Well, the way I see it is like he creates like this kind of like snake-like crack. You see that coming. You grab Kahina, you throw her out of the way. The crack opens. Melee's about to fall in it. You flick the fan out. She stands on that instead of falling, and then you can pull her free, and then you pull the fan out, and then you resume the battle stance, right? Like that is the defense of like doing cool stuff.
It's a hard counter.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. All right. And then that's it. That's all he gets to do for now. And then lastly, the elite firebenders with their evade and observe. They don't have any fatigue. They don't have to roll. But they are going to try and hinder as well. So they are in fact going to use their special technique that I gave them, which is enhanced. Oh no, that's an attack one. I can't do that one. So they are going to try and hinder you guys. So they are basically going to impair the four of you, so not Reng, so the four of you, Dawa, Baya, Kahina, and Melee, they're just like throwing flames and causing flames to like jet up out the stone, and causing like flames to almost kind of circle around you. They're just trying to impair you at this point. So they're just trying to kind of like slow you down and kind of lock you into this place. As they're doing this, like this whole fight's taking place, as we are running out of time, and because I don't want this to drag into a thing, you hear Lopen, the earth begins shaking. That metal ball kind of just pops up out of the hole, and is like being held by like a fist of stone, as you see about 10 Earth warrior, Earth Nation warriors, all with weapons, all in earthbending gear with like the kind of conical hats, surfing on like volcanic rock, and they begin just like pummeling the ground, disrupting the Fire Nation. The Fire Nation and the Onyx Juggernaut have to flee. They're going to get away as they return to their airship. They like clamber up on board. Reng manages to take a few of them out as they're fighting. You guys use your bending to kind of slow them down, but they basically have to retreat. And as they begin flying away, the Earth Nation arrives to save it. Unfortunately, we just run out of time there to really get more into it.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, I was imagining this fight taking like a longer time anyway, rather than the traditional 6 seconds, I suppose. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's
like a sequence of
peppering
moves,
this
right?
dude.
It's like Reng was like fending off all of these soldiers by himself, and then you guys are battling the firebenders and the Onyx Juggernaut and stuff like that in this kind of like ongoing thing. But yeah, these guys all kind of come up. You have saved Makapu for now. You know that Admiral Carr's probably not going to give up on this plan, but for now it has been saved, and that is where we're going to have to call it quits there. The last thing I want to do,
cliffhanger. The Fire Nation soldiers who are following us, they find the storehouse has been torn open. They find the wagon. They all come up, and then they find us at the end. And
I was going to do the XP, and then that was how I was going to end the stream, Tom. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, cool.
A cliffhanger.
That was it.
There's a cliffhanger.
There's a nice cliffhanger.
We have to end on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Well, I'll come to my cliffhanger in a minute. I want to do the growth. So at the end of each session, I want to mark XP and things like that as well. This is part of the game, so I do want to make sure that we properly mark it off. So at the end of each session, each player answers the following questions. Did you learn something challenging, exciting, or complicated about the world? Do we think that that's a yes?
No.
I think we just followed the same thing.
We knew about that already, yeah.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would maybe say is like it was not particularly, I think, exciting, fighting a bunch of firebenders on top of a volcano. I think that counts as exciting. I don't think it's necessarily learning something.
Discovered there's an earthbender resistance in this area.
So we can maybe say that that's one. Did you stop a dangerous threat or solve a community problem? You absolutely did. That's 100% a yes. Did you guide a companion towards balance or end the session at your center? So that's an individual question for each of you. Do you guys felt that you guided a companion towards balance or end the session at your center?
I don't think so.
I ended the session at my center.
You get to mark a growth. You get to mark a growthy point.
I went towards my center.
No.
Didn't finish there, though.
Yeah. End the session or guide a companion towards balance, which I don't think any of you guys did. But I'd say you got 2. Everybody at least gets 2, and I actually think Gehenna there gets 3. If you have marked 3 growth, you may take a growth advancement, which is basically like a little level up. Same. There you go. So that is so when you scroll down, there is growth advancements on your playbooks. You also everybody gets their own individual growth questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Do you want to do those? If you want, do you guys have your sheets that you can read out, or should I do it?
Did you make progress towards your goal against your adversary?
You fought him. I think that counts.
Yeah.
I think that counts. Yeah. So you can mark that one.
We kicked his ass before he ran away.
Did you accomplish a feat worthy of your burden and tradition? I saved an entire village, an entire island of
and
villages.
You rescued an Earth Nation citizen. You rescued Lopen as well.
Yeah. I have my end of session. Did I generally uphold my responsibilities? I think this is to shift my balance.
We'll do that.
Basically,
I think we'll worry about it.
I'm going to tip over.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, we'll see what that means. Dower, what was your question?
Did you improve the lives of a community of average citizens?
Yeah.
I don't think we improved.
You saved them. They're not on fire. Yeah.
They're not. They're not on fire, which I guess is an improvement.
Sure. Let's say yes.
I'd say that's an improvement.
Let's just say yes. Let's just say yes.
All right. That's a level up for me.
Me.
What's your growth question?
Did you express vulnerability by admitting you were wrong, or that you should have listened to someone who ignored you? I kind of apologized to Rang at the beginning, a little bit. Just a little bit.
Let's just have a quick look at where your balance is. I think it's really confident.
It went the other way.
Yeah,
really
I'm going to say no on that one, Kim. I'm going to say that's probably a no.
That's
Luckily,
alright.
you get a level up anyway.
I dinged anyway. I dinged
yeah.
from everything else anyway, so I
Rang.
don't need it.
Did you pursue a desire or goal of your own outside of protecting others? And nope, I very much stayed as
Just
Ring
did.
does.
Withering, protect bio.
Protecting, yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right. Well, you guys get all your growths. You can mark a growth advancement, and that's going to be it. That's going to be it for our little two-part story via Avatar Legends. An amazing game. I genuinely think this is a great game system. I put a little thread up on Twitter. I think that for the world of Avatar, this is one of the best ways you could do it. I think if you tried to do this with like a really detailed like D&D system, or like you can play a 20th level firebender, it just wouldn't work as well. I think that this works and we've seen this, like these feel like episodes from the show. Like these feel like they would be episodes in the show, right?
Absolutely.
It's the ability to skip
Yeah,
ahead
100%.
and do all these role play moments as well. Whereas D&D feels like you have to play every single thing out. Where we can just say this combat is however long it needs to be, and these cool things happen, and these characters do these cool things in these moments.
Yeah.
And then also like the
I think
bending.
it's really cool.
For me, like making the bending just like a thing you can do, and then you just describe how you use it, and then that translates to the move, rather than like a right,
breakdown.
Rhiannon, you've got a level 1 air blast. Oh, yep, nope, I passed my saving throw. Yeah, you don't knock those guys over. I think that it works way better that way, where you can just be like, I'm going to launch myself with air across this thing, or I'm going to use air to do this kind of cool thing that I'm going to do, or the fire whip, or like the cool axe kick and the ice javelins. Like, I think it works like way, way better.
Yeah.
So.
It opens up for really creative narratives, and it makes
That's what the
more
show's
than
all about.
Exactly.
It
That's what it's all about.
parallels that
It
very
works.
well.
Parallels it very, very well. Well, thank you once again, Magpie Games, for sponsoring us to do this little playthrough of Avatar Legends. Please go and check out the Kickstarter. If you haven't backed it already, go and do so now. It's
at
absolutely
2.6 million now.
$2.6 million.
Whoa.
Since we started, that was 2.5.
That's insane.
And this is genuinely, I am very likely to play this as like an offline thing with with people, just to play for fun, because it's a really cool game. It's really good.
It's just such a great universe as well. Like there's
so
so many
much
different
fun.
eras
Like,
we can choose from. It's awesome.
It works super well.
think-
So it.
One thing I was saying when I watched Avatar and Korra recently is originally I was a bit hesitant to get into this, because like I've seen, being Southeast Asian, I've seen Western shows do East and Southeast Asian things, and just it's a bit cringe, and they get things wrong, but I've genuinely enjoyed watching Avatar, and I've genuinely enjoyed doing this, because I'm so excited to like share that kind of East Southeast Asian inspiration and influence, and play that out, and like
treated with
talk
respect.
about martial arts and stuff like that. And it's very
you know what,
respectful.
Kim?
Like it's what
Maybe Kim should run the next one.
There we go.
maybe.
Because
Wait,
maybe
let's
Mark would
find
like
out.
to play. Maybe Mark would like to play an Avatar RPG and not GM
Let's
it.
play Spin Yappa.
Spin the app.
It's good.
No, you're 100% right, and that's actually one of the other things from Magpie Games is they really made an effort to work with diverse designers who understand that as well. Like there's a lot of folks from all different backgrounds, especially Asia and Southeast Asia, working on the game who can actually do it justice and do it properly.
Exactly.
And
And you
not
can
make it
feel that. I think you
rubbish.
can really feel that in the text, and in the games that we've had. So yeah. 100%.
Amazing.
Love it.
Well,
Love it.
Thank you very much, everybody. If you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for joining us. If you would like, and this is a little bit of self-plug, if you've enjoyed us, if you've never watched any of our stuff as High Rollers before, if you've just come for Avatar, and you like RPGs, you like us, you think that we're weird and kooky and funny and British and all that kind of stuff, or Scottish, Come and watch
Thank
our
you.
regular game, High Rollers D&D. We play 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons every Sunday at 5 p.m. UK time or 9 a.m. Pacific. And we've got a big epic campaign that's been going on for 3 years. We're high level. We're doing some very epic, cool stuff. Come and give that a watch and catch up on YouTube or on podcast as well. We're available as a podcast as well. But thanks very much for joining us for Avatar Legends. That's it from us. Yip yip and flameo, hot man. And we'll see you next time.
Keep your cabbages safe.
Keep your cabbages safe. Yeah.
Safe.
Yip yip.
Secret
Squanchy.
tunnel.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.